Friends, welcome to another very special hobby stream from us here at Hobby Titans. I'm Zach. Let's talk some years. 2002, 2003, 2004, and don't call it a comeback, but 2011. I'm talking, of course, about the man to my left, Marion County, Iowa's four-time rose-grown champion, and my dear friend and colleague, Mr. Brett Lee. Brett, how's it going?
It's going great. This has nothing to do with roses.
Not really.
But
yeah, but it's fun.
But it's fun.
Roses are fun.
Roses are fun.
Today, what we're going to be working on is some Age of Sigmar terrain that Brian left here.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
This is great. Very different sort of vibe than the sci-fi terrain that we're used to. But
yeah.
Fun as in its own right.
What I'm maybe most excited about today is that we are not going to use an airbrush.
Yes. So this is for all of you who either who don't have an airbrush, don't have space. There's a lot of folks who, just can't dedicate space or, don't have like the air cleaning equipment or the filtration setup. And so this will be a great intro to large terrain facades with wet brushes.
Yeah, we're going to do a number of kind of wacky tricks and tips, kind of show you guys some cheap ways to almost sort of emulate an airbrush in some ways where it makes sense to do that, and in other ways not do that. So we're excited. We have some super creative ways to make this terrain look good, and we're going to get creative right now. Let's get creative, Brett. Okay, so here is what we're going to be working on. This is the finished stuff already. If you guys are wondering where this set is from, I looked it up. It's from a while ago. Brian told me that he had this for 16 years. It's called the Warhammer Buildings Set Village. Back in the 2000s, they were not as clever and creative with their names. Now this would be called Sigmarite Hovel Yard or something, right?
Blacksmith Yard, or have a little more narrative attached to it.
We don't have a lot of Age of Sigmar terrain around here, so we wanted to make this what we call terrain agnostic, meaning we are not going to be weathering this to any specific place. So you've seen it already in an arid desert. You're going to see it, you saw it in a city. You're seeing it here kind of in like a wet kind of area. And we just kept going. We said, where else could we use this? What about outer space?
Yeah, I think this would look perfectly good in outer space. There's no sort of desert-specific weathering in the base,
like no red
reds.
Powder,
There's no green washes like we've applied to designate sort of an overgrown forest section like we've done in other terrain pieces. But there's also no space weathering here. You don't see any space dust. Yeah. You don't see any space moss. That's another way we often like to sort of make our terrain set specific to a tile set. But yeah, on the topic of moss, you could put whatever moss you want along the base of this terrain piece, and it would just fit right in.
Yeah, I think like one of the things we've talked about a lot is this idea that build some wilderness, and then take the time and actually, after you're done building the wilderness, say like what should live here, right? And so we have gone through, we've made Imperial sets, we've made Tau sets, we make Orc sets, and now we need a little Age of Sigmar terrain because we're starting to play Age of Sigmar around here. But we want to be able to drop this terrain into any sort of setting that we have, right?
So we have these models with bases, and the bases look like totally, fine sitting next to this terrain in outer space. It doesn't clash with the terrain piece because the terrain piece doesn't have any of that, biome specific weathering.
Exactly. And about the only kind of like specific plant life thing that you guys see that I did use some of the beige like grass tufts. These actually end up working pretty well. Like if you put beige grass tufts on terrain and put it like in a jungle, then it's just going to look like that grass is like dormant that season. Likewise, if you put it in a desert, it's going to make sense. So whatever you do with it, it's going to work. Like even in snow, right? Like we did the Beast Claw Raiders. When Adrian and I played our Beast Claw Raiders game, we had all snow and obsidian, and we put little tan moss, beige moss around.
It looks fine. Yeah,
it looks fine. So
it goes with most biomes.
Most biomes. Yeah. Dead grass, actually, super. There's your first tip right there. Dead grass is totally like works in even a lush jungle. Yeah, I think,
and in space too.
Are you excited to paint some things without airbrush?
Yeah, we've got this collection of tools here, and I'm really excited to.
Can we get a top down on this?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I love this. It looks a little less like we are seriously like hobbyists, and more like we're like showing up for art class.
Yeah, this is these are large brushes. We're going to be applying bulk amounts of paint. We're going to be, doing it across large surfaces. It'll be great.
Let's before we go back to front, let's look at a couple of these tools. The foam sponge brush. You can look these up and just look up sponge brush or foam brush. I get these from hardware stores. This is kind of like our airbrush cheat. We'll get back to this guy. Okay, we also have here lots of just like big kind of large brush. Ugly brushes is what I call these. I get these from like hobby store. Again, not hobby stores. I get these from like Michael's in big bags. I actually opened a bag and threw the bag out and restocked us. When we go back to the front view, you'll see that. Then we have a couple other really important tools. Nothing super special. Spray bottle with water. Okay, that's like not a hard to find piece of equipment, but there it is, spray bottle with water. So we're going to use two, because one we want with clean fresh water, and the other one we want with we're going to make like kind of our own airbrush tinting sneak here. Now, I know we said that we're not going to weather this terrain, but we are going to weather it a little bit with known oil, which is kind of like that generic weathering we're talking about that fits in any kind of atmosphere.
Yep. Thank you, chat, for the feedback on the front camera focus. Hopefully this is better. I just adjusted it while Zach was waxing prosaic about hobby tools.
Spray bottles, yeah.
Spray bottles, yeah. I like
okay. Are we ready?
Yeah, we have one super chat that I'd like to read before we get started. Thank you, Super Edie. Hi guys, I'm just showing my appreciation for all of your inspiration. I've gotten so much painting done this last month, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Is Zach aware of his brand new Hot Takes Twitter account?
Yeah.
If you are curious, it is...
you have it memorized.
It is, I think it's at Hot Takes, well, Zach's Hot Takes, at Zach's Hot Takes.
Someone in chat, I'm sure we'll put it up.
Yeah.
Yes, I did see that happened. That's great. I don't.
Classic Zach reaction.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to go from there.
It is great.
It was, I knew when I said that I liked the Hobbit trilogy better than the Lord of the Rings trilogy from Peter Jackson's movies. I knew that would be a problem. It's been a problem much of my life. Whenever I say that, I almost want to stop saying it.
Yeah.
And here I've just said it again. But we don't need to go into why. Let's just paint some terrain.
Let's just paint some buildings. All right, what's our step one?
Okay, so I just put some Citadel Air Mechanicus Standard Gray on a wet palette. Now, to do what we're about to do, you would not actually need a wet palette. Brett and I have one here. I actually meant to bring in, I had one at home. If you go to, like at least in the US, if you go to the grocery store and you get like meat or sometimes even vegetables and it's like wrapped, it's like on the styrofoam trays.
Styrofoam trays, yeah.
Those work well also. What you want for this technique is some sort of non-porous surface. So in other words, we don't want to pour this paint. Sometimes we do put paint on our brown paper. We don't want to do that. It's a little too porous. It'll dry it out. So we want we want to have our paint on an area where it's going to kind of just stay wet.
Yeah, the wet palette here is not allowing us to do any kind of wet blending.
No.
We're just using it to keep our paint from drying out.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you could use any kind of anything wet. If we get top down here, Brett, I'll show sort of the consistency we're going for, but I'll be honest with you guys, there's a lot of play in it. So it's not specifically, I would say kind of almost like milk. And so I've used air paint, and then all I did was like add a little bit of water to get it to look like this. And we're gonna have to add a lot. We don't clean any off of our brush, and I'll show you. You guys are gonna be a little surprised as I just jump in here and do this. So literally what I'm gonna do is just start covering this thing. And am I letting recesses stay black? A little bit. I'm not super worried about it on this building, but this is pretty much the process. It looks sort of sloppy.
Yeah.
And Brett, yeah, you can.
I'm gonna jump in and get started on
everything's gonna be gray. Now the big thing, as Brett and I get going here, the big thing is that I'm showing you guys gray, but you could also do like the look here we're gonna end up with. I'll tell you guys, it's kind of like a Stutco type look.
Right.
So if you did like a tan.
Yeah, I was thinking a tan like for sandstone or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
like from like some kind of like seaside Mediterranean type
Yeah,
look.
I was thinking like Northern Africa.
Yep. You could do that, and you would do the exact same process. I actually, I'm so bad at this. I actually did write all this out in a Google Doc already, and I'll have to. And I forgot to post it underneath our underneath our video, but I will go back and add it in. So we're just. You guys can't see here off screen, but I'm just making just keeping up the paint again. Mechanicus standard gray. It's a pretty sloppy look, but don't worry about it because to get around the sloppy look, we have a technique that we're going to do. First, after this is done, we're going to let it dry for a sec, and then we're going to do it again.
We're going to do it again. Yeah, I was going to say how concerned should I be about my brush? This isn't like a brush with bristles, but my brush marks when I'm doing this, and it sounds like not very if we're going to be doing this with a second coat.
Yeah, so this is a great question that Brett brings up. One of the things that we're doing here today is we're taking advantage of the fact that this building isn't going to look perfect. So like I said, I would not use this technique if I was doing like a towel building for 40K. It could work on some Imperial buildings, it could work on Orc stuff, but I wouldn't use this on a lot of specific, anything that needs to look like fairly polished and like manufactured.
Right. No, I think we want there to be some variation across the model surface. But we don't want it to look lined. We don't want it to look like there's a brush line there. You just want it to look naturally varied.
And this is actually exactly what I wrote in the Google Doc. I said, this can tolerate a lot of variance and kind of almost like mistakes and goofiness.
Yeah.
Not brush strokes.
Yep.
Brush strokes are brush strokes. Everybody knows what a brush stroke looks like.
Right.
So when people pick up your terrain and see the brush stroke, they go, "That's a brush stroke. I know what a brush stroke is." Right. So I would definitely say make sure you don't have brush strokes. That's sort of what the foam brush is for. Yeah. I would say that if you're not using these, you're more likely to get brush strokes.
Yep, yeah. I think you're right.
That's why I like these.
What, how concerned should I be about getting sort of in the windows and like?
Not very. Let me show you mine.
Got it. Okay, cool. I see what you want to put it on the glam cam so we can. All right, and while you're doing that, I'm going to take another super chat.
Oh, please.
Thank you, Code Cubster. Hi guys. If I mixed GK steel and Calidor sky, do you know GK is that granite steel?
Yes.
Some kind of steel, okay, metallic, and Calidor sky, which I'm assuming is like a light blue.
Yeah, I know Calidor sky.
Do you think that would work well for a blue-gray color? Also, how do I go about basing swamp-like bases?
These are two great questions, Code Cubster. So if you're looking for, by the way, guys, real quick before I answer his question, you can see here, this looks like a sloppy mess. And again, don't worry because we've got a few more steps that we're going to be adding to it, but this looks like crap.
Yeah.
I mean, it does not
I think it's important, though, to show the first steps.
Yeah.
Like when you're just getting started and you're like, you're applying the first coats to some of this stuff. Yeah, like this is how they look.
Also, when I had on the camera there, I did see some areas that were a little like too dark, and the sponge also like this stuff, the wet paint this wet style of the painting responds well to just like dabbing.
Having it come off, getting the paint off. Yeah.
So I'm going to set that there. We have a fan kind of set up here today to help us speed up some drying processes.
Just off camera.
Yeah.
Drying fan.
So Coat Cupster, you know what I would say is, one, let's talk about bluish.
Yeah, I think he's after like a gunmetal blue
What?
color.
Yeah, so last week when we did rubrics, we used Turbo Dork paints. If you want it kind of like Gray Knights, but to look a little bluish, honestly, I would look at Turbo Dork Blue Steel.
Steel.
And we talked about the color last week. We didn't use it last week, but we talked about it. And if you go and check out any Tabletop Titans, wherever you see them and they're playing on that really very purple board, if you watch a game of that, you'll see that a lot of the like scaffolding and like kind of platforms are like this bluish color. They've been weathered. That's what I use there. Mixing a non-metallic with a metallic. I don't have a lot of experience with that. What I would recommend is trying a small batch.
Yeah, try a little section of it. I also don't have a ton of experience with that. What I was going to suggest though is, I think sort of the conventional wisdom for essentially tinting a metallic is to tint a metallic. Sorry, you want this one?
Oh no, I forgot we had these.
Yeah. So paint the silver color on the model, and then apply a tint over it, a wash. So wait for it to dry, apply the metallic, wait for it to dry, and then put a wash over it.
I cannot express to people enough how much, like, especially if you're starting like a new army, how much you should try stuff out. And people sometimes are kind of like nervous and they're like, well, I don't want to ruin a model. I don't want to, I've got 5 rubric Marines. I don't want to wreck one. Don't start on paper. Start with what you think color-wise is going to look good. Like Brett's talking about tinting, right? Put that metal down all over a sheet of paper.
Sprue is good for this too.
Sprues are good for this too. Like absolutely right. Chunks of sprues or weird bits. That's where I was going next. But even before there, I do paper.
Paper, yeah.
I just take a piece of paper. I put that silver all over that paper, and then I try Brett's idea with a few different colors. I try Drakenhof Nightshade. Other companies make washes other than Citadel. I think a lot of people love their washes. I would try Biel-Tan green is like a bluish green kind of. So yeah, I would just super encourage you to try it out first on paper. Try everything out on paper. The problem is you might be thinking, well, hey, I don't want to go to my store and buy $90 worth of paint and find out that $45 of it is not something I'm going to use, and I have to go back and buy $45 more. Well,
I don't know what to do about that.
There's nothing I can really tell you to do about it. I can only tell you to have a positive attitude about it.
Yeah. So when I was getting back into the hobby a few years ago, all my paints had dried up, because I had been playing Warhammer for a decade almost, and so I had to kind of reestablish a collection of paints, and I had the exact problem that you just described. I was trying to figure out how should I, what colors do I want? I'm picking a paint scheme for Tau at the time. I knew I wanted them to be gray and orange, but I didn't know which gray, which orange. I had a couple different grays. I had some highlight colors to pick out. And I ended up buying 10 or 12 different gray colors.
Yeah.
I knew which paint line I wanted. I wanted to do Vallejo Model Air, but even within the line, gray, there's so many gray colors.
Yeah.
And I just ended up buying a lot of them. And I think there has to be a better way, right? And I think what I realized at the time, if you have a paint store and you talk to the paint dropper bottles are not there's no plastic seal on them. Mm-hmm. So I almost think you could unscrew the dropper bottle and
some
just
of them have the seal at the bottom.
Right. Okay. Well, Vallejo don't.
They don't. Okay.
You can just put. I'm not even talking about a full drop. I'm talking about a tenth of a drop out of the bottle onto a piece of plastic card or something, and then take it home and stare at it. And you could do that with 5 or 6 different dropper bottles. It'd be good to have a conversation with the store manager first before you do that.
Is that one ready?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Just put it in front of the fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this looks good. So these are going to dry for a second. Oh, Brett's doing the top, and yeah, we want to make sure that the paint that we're using is really staying pretty wet. The wet palette does help with that. I said you don't need a wet palette, and you don't. It does help though.
Right.
But also, otherwise, honestly, like I said, if you have a non-porous surface, like not paper or cardboard, but you have styrofoam or something like that you can put the paint on, or a piece of plastic, something like that, that helps a lot. Okay, so this is drying, and it's going to be dry pretty soon. The second component to this village that we're painting up is we're going to be painting up some fences and some walls. All of this stuff, stone walls, all of this stuff comes in this box set that Brian acquired years ago. And I actually looked it up before the show, like I said, and looks like it's still available.
Oh yeah, are you serious?
Yeah, I saw some boxes still.
Like on eBay
yeah, like eBay, not on
not like
Citadel. Not from
GamesWorkshop.com.
Yeah. So it looks like a pretty good deal. You get way more. I mean, you get as much terrain as you would need for Age of Sigmar. Yeah. Honestly.
Which is less than a typical game of 40K, right?
Significantly less, and really what you want is negative space.
Right.
Is really.
You're just looking for terrain to block off some lanes.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're going to be doing some stone walls and some wooden fences, little small wooden fences. I did all the large wooden fences earlier in preparation for this, but these are also going to respond quite nicely to just really basic techniques, not necessary. Not airbrush is not necessary.
No airbrush required. Yeah.
So, okay, let's take a look and see how dry some of these are.
Are we going to, on the wooden fences, do a gray sort of base coat there as well? Or are we going to do a more brownish base coat?
We are going to do...
Are fences even brown?
Yeah, I know, right? We actually are going to use brown on wood.
Oh, wow.
In today's...
So once, you heard it here first, once trees die, that's when they turn brown.
So you guys still might be surprised at the colors we use. And we're not doing any tinting on this really either, so keep that in mind. Okay, great. So all of our stuff has got its first layer of wet Mechanicus standard gray on it. We do want to let this dry, because if we don't let this dry, what will happen is we will end up with streaks. If you have one layer of wet paint and you start putting more wet paint over it, you're going to get obnoxious streaks.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and in these periods where we're drying, I'm going to give Brett two of the big ones, and I'm going to give him one of these little ones.
Okay.
Actually, let me give you this little one. It's a little different. Otherwise, I have two of the same. And we're going to get going on these. So slightly different process here. Only going to be dry brushing. We're going to start off with actually the same color, Mechanicus Standard Gray. And this is going to be really a no-brainer. This I can put on paper because we're going to dry brush, and we actually want a very dry brush. And this is wooden fence, so we'll get to the wooden part here. Brett, yours don't. I don't. Oh,
I've
wait,
got some.
One of yours does. Okay. And so then all we do is this, literally.
All right.
Yeah. Have fun. There is another Mechanicus Standard Gray over there, but so don't worry right now about anything like streaks or anything like that. We're going to be doing 4 coats of this to get the stones, and that's it. The stones will be done after that. Literally, these kits like this, they take dry brushing so well. If you kind of consider what airbrushing is compared to what we're doing right now, in airbrushing, we quickly and coatly smooth all of the stuff here gray, and then usually I recess wash with black, with non-oil, and that sits in the recesses more. So literally, we accomplish the same thing if you think about it with dry brushing in a way. The look is going to be slightly different, and again, it's not a look I love on like armored Space Marines or anything like that, but for stone and wood, it's perfect.
And so we're intentionally trying to leave the recesses unpainted here.
Yeah.
We want the black primer to be visible in the recesses between the stones.
Yeah, but it's not. I would say that it's probably not something like you have to really worry and think heavily
Right,
about.
but that's sort of, as you're thinking about how much paint to put on your brush and how hard to dry brush it, the goal, it's good to keep the goal in mind.
Yeah.
And in this case, the goal is, I want the raised surfaces to take the gray paint. I want the recessed areas to remain black primer.
Exactly. While that's happening, I'm going to move on to the wooden stuff. And I'm actually using a Citadel base paint here. This is Rhinox hide. I like this color a lot. It's like a very dark chocolatey brown.
Oh, yeah.
And again, same thing. I'm going into the fence area. And I'll actually show you guys something else I'm going to do here. When Brett is, he's pulling double duty here as always, but when he's, yeah, there we go. So on these fences, I actually want this kind of base that they've built. I want that to be Rhinox hide as well. And so I'm going to, after having put my other color, I'm going to go ahead and now Rhinox hide. And I'm letting the Rhinox hide even get on the base of the stone wall. And you know why? Because it looks pretty cool. It just looks like dirt, you know?
The chat wants to know the name of this building set.
Oh, yeah.
It is the, here, I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see. One more set time. There you go, right there. Warhammer Buildings Set Village.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, this is out of print. This is a very, very old GW kit from the, I don't know, 90s?
I think like 2000s, it seemed like.
Early 2000s?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe. But look, you could find other stuff like, first of all, their new stuff is the same. It is probably more expensive. Although I don't know, people tend to, jump up the price on things that are out of print. So
The Warhammer Building Set Village Facebook group is up in arms all of a sudden.
Yeah, so I would say it's going to work on any set of stuff. This is what we happen to have. Like I said, Brian had a box of this, fully painted, fully assembled. Not fully primed, not fully painted. Yeah. That'd be rude.
And then we stripped it,
Yeah,
and then we repainted it for all of you guys.
No, we wouldn't do that.
No one got time for that.
Yeah. So we it was ready to go. So we were like, hey, we need Age of Sigmar Terrain, and we have Age of Sigmar Terrain, so let's paint it. But you could do this with anything. The Pegasus hobbies.
Oh yeah.
Stuff, you can use that. I use it for 40K because it's very gothic looking, but it actually doesn't have anything like technological on it beyond the technological level of a fantasy game.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to give you this in case you want to use that on your wooden parts.
Yeah, I'm quite a bit behind you. I'm taking my dry brushing slow, I think. But how is our main building sections?
Yeah,
coming?
these look like they are ready for their second.
Unless do you want to do another wooden one?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Or you can leave it for me. That's fine.
No, that works. Because we are then ready to get onto the next coat of our Mechanicus Standard Gray.
Yep.
Let me just knock out this little fence. Again, don't worry about being too thorough with any of these coats of dry brushing.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be doing a lot of them.
Caldarf has a super chat.
Oh, thanks,
Thank you
Caldarf.
very much, Caldarf. Awesome you guys doing brushwork today. You guys convinced me on adding an airbrush to my hobby kit. I got an Iwata Neo. Should I clean it before its first use?
I'd probably just run water through it. I'm not sure I would feel like you need to go through a whole cleaning process on it right away.
Yeah, I don't think so. I would maybe oil it. How do you feel about that?
So we use this stuff. It's actually right back here, called it's Badger brand. It's called Needle Juice. I can, if you want to do this, I can show it here. Badger Needle Juice. I think it's sort of specialized mineral spirits.
If you say it 3 times, does it appear?
Needle juice, needle juice, needle juice. Yeah. So I would maybe recommend that. I've had people like tell me it's not necessary. I've had people use mineral spirits. I don't know. I use it. I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe, as Brett's saying,
To lubricate the needle, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know whether it comes with pre-lubricated or not, but if not, you should add some kind of oil to. Before Zach turned me on to the airbrush specific lubricant, I just used like 3-in-1 oil. And I guess it was fine. I don't know. I'm still also early in my airbrush journey myself. But yeah, that's the only thing. I don't think you need to clean it. The only thing I can think of is if it doesn't come pre-lubricated, you might want to add some oil.
That's also the call to congratulations on getting an airbrush, and congratulations on starting to do your airbrushing. Okay, so what I'm doing here now, guys, I'm moving on to the second coat of Mechanicus Standard Gray here, and again, it's this wet technique. I'll show you what the paint even kind of looks like here. So it's all there. It's very wet. Again, don't have to use a wet palette. I'm like pretty liberal here, adding water to it, getting it nice and like almost like milk texture, which is really pretty thin, if you think about it.
Right.
So it's
This is almost like a wash. We're creating a Mechanicum standard gray wash. It's not quite that.
Yeah,
thin.
with some opaque.
A contrast paint, maybe.
No, you know, I don't think. I think it's still more opaque than a contrast paint.
Yeah.
We didn't have to first put like one of their specialized like base coats that they want you to use or anything like that on this. We just went right over top of black primer. And so that's it. Now, here's the cool thing. Again, you're using these sponge brushes, so you shouldn't really have brush strokes. But if you do end up having brush strokes, any kind of like streaks or anything, go the opposite direction across them. If you go the opposite direction across it, it'll just fill it in.
It'll
much
hide.
better.
Yeah, it'll hide the marks. Yeah.
It's like they call that, I guess, cross hatching, and it's used in a lot of pencil work and pen work and paint, brush work.
Yep.
Now you can also again see here, like lots of the recesses still very visible or still dark. Again, like Brett was saying, we're really intentionally doing that. And if they're not like that, that's okay, because we are going to apply some water through it. So that's still going to happen. Yeah, Roger. Sorry, just real quick. We do see your question. Sometimes
we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get there. Thank you also. And so this is the same process that if we airbrushed all Mechanicus Standard Gray and then shot non-oil all over it, it would get down in there. And like I said, that's still kind of going to happen. And the natural variance, like you can see here, this still very dark, but some of the stone, the wet Mechanicus Standard Gray got into. No big deal. Okay, Brett, should I pass you this?
Yes, please.
I'm ready. That's looking pretty good, actually.
I feel good about it.
Yeah, I think just one more
coat of really diluted, cross-hatched standard gray, and we'll be set.
Yeah.
So do you want to take Roger's question?
Yeah,
Thank you, Roger.
Roger's asking, how would I do marble? Kintsugi. Don't know what that is, so maybe someone can let me know. I've done marble before.
Yeah, and you guys have probably seen Zach's marble on the tabletop.
Yeah,
stream,
there's a board that hasn't been used for a couple months that the guys use that has marbling effect.
Yeah.
And Roger, I did do the baby wipe method. I didn't use baby wipes. What I did is
dryer sheets.
You can do dryer sheets. I haven't done that. I did alcohol wipes.
Alcohol wipes.
And we have some here.
Zach used the only substance more valuable than gold.
Yeah.
During the heart of a pandemic, alcohol wipes.
Well, these were actually this
terrain.
board that I made. If you remember, this board was made right before LVO.
Yeah. Oh, so it was before COVID.
It was right before we went to LVO. I literally made the board in January of 2020. So you get stuff like this, and what you can do is let them dry out. Not this one. This one has like a funky kind of like threading through it.
Yeah.
Probably like plastic threading that's going to end up in the ocean and murder some sea turtles or something. Gosh, I hope not. That's what this is. But if you don't get like a specialized one with like threading, in other words, don't go to like Home Depot and get a name brand. Go to...
Get the cheapest ones you can find.
Yeah. Let them dry out. So you got to pull them out, let them dry out. The alcohol will be off of them largely, and they'll be dry. And then you can kind of like pull them apart slowly.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you're going to do a bunch of coats of marble. Now, I looked this up online and found a few different recipes for it.
Yeah.
The recipe I ultimately went with, and I found to be the best, was used a lot of colors that you would not expect. So first you actually do it over top of black. I did like a dark brown, then I did like a medium brown.
Yeah.
Then I did like a light brown. And then after the browns...
No idea what so many steps.
Now that Eric, thank you, he's telling me what kisugi is, kisugi is.
Yeah.
I would tell you that all you would do is just work that into the process. And I would probably work it in after all these browns. And I might brush paint some too, but we'll get to that in a second with, I think, how I would approach that. I do know what you're talking about. I didn't know what it was called. So I would do like 3 browns. Then you start doing bones. So then you start doing like Talaran sand. It's kind of like a brownish bone color. Do a Talaran sand. Then you do like Abshanti bone, and do that.
Abshanti bone. Oh gosh.
Yeah, and then you do white. And this is all with an airbrush, of course, not the way I did it. After the white, you kind of pull it up. And take a look at what it looks like. What you might find you want to do is, even after the bone, be checking on it. At some point...
Always be checking on it.
Yeah, check after every color. You have to anyway, because you got to pull up the sheets. You're going to end up having like 3 or 4 sheets for each color, by the way. Depending on how much you plan on doing.
Oh, so you go through a lot of alcohol wipes for this.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 sheets per color. You don't have to worry about doing that, but it's okay that you did. We're going to do that wood, but... It'll go over top. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So browns into bones, and then what you're going to start checking as you get close to the top colors is, do you need any more of the dark color? Again, like did you cover up too much of the dark color?
Yeah.
You might want to take the dark brown, go back again, and just hit some areas. And that's kind of what I found was helpful, was knowing that you could, once you left a color, that it was okay if you went back to it.
Right.
And I found that after I kind of built up with browns and bone colors, that I needed to hit a little more brown or even black, like Corvus black, like a dark gray.
I feel like this
is white marble look, by the way.
Like the recipe that you're laying out is good, but I feel like what we really need to do is just like a night of doing marbles to show the technique.
Absolutely, absolutely, definitely.
Because the technique is a big part of it.
Yeah, the technique is a big part. But I will say that it's not too bad, just browns, bones, go back if you need to. And then what I did at the end is, you guys know I love my Minotaur skull white, is I did that to just kind of like put...
Got bit rate. Cool, that should have done it. All right, hopefully we're back.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry about that. Boy, that's been a while since that's happened.
The internet gremlins have stayed away mostly for the last few weeks.
Hopefully Bridger's not watching. He's probably just got like really stressed out.
He got really stressed out, and our phones are about to ring.
Oh, he's just gonna like be over here in like 5 minutes.
He's instantly gonna show up. Yeah.
Yeah, we will do marbling at some point. I don't know exactly when. Okay, how's it look?
I feel good about it. I'm gonna do the outside of this one more time. I realized that only has 1 coat on it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I feel great about it. Do you want to put it on the close-up shot? And we can glam cam, and we can
see it is starting to look a little smooth. Like, still messy, right? But look how like smooth that's starting to look. Now there's like areas missing. Don't worry, we're gonna deal with that.
Right.
But it's starting to look pretty smooth.
Nice.
Excuse me. So, what I'm gonna do now is kind of prepare our next color. And to do that, I'm going to put down a wet palette sheet and make it a little wet. Here. We're going to use these smaller brushes. Ooh,
whoa. I don't know.
Should we be worried?
I don't think so.
It doesn't sound like a sound that you should be worried about.
It sounds like fine.
Sounds like a pleasant sound.
Windows is just letting us know that it's there.
All right, thanks, Windows.
Hey, what's up, Windows?
So slightly smaller brushes, and what we're gonna do here is Dawnstone, which is sort of like a medium gray. It's dark. It's lighter than Mechanicus Standard. Excuse me, but not super light, not particularly light. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. Prep a little bit of this here as Brett finishes up.
Yep.
Okay, this is where things get kind of fun, because they haven't been fun yet.
Things have been fun, yeah.
Oh, let me grab my guy. All right, so Brett, how is it looking?
Just really quick. Zachary wants one more time the name of the terrain set. It is the Warhammer. You can see it there on the right-hand side of the screen. The Warhammer Building Set Village.
Yeah.
It's out of print. You can probably find it on eBay if you are so inclined.
Yeah.
Not super expensive on eBay, but yeah, not available on Games Workshop site.
Yeah, it's a good set. I think like I was saying earlier, if you missed it, I think it's pretty much all you would need for AOS. A couple force kind of actually block line of sight in AOS. So all
right, so Dawnstone.
Dawnstone. Okay, how's your tower looking? Dry?
Yeah, the tower base is pretty good.
Okay.
I was lighter with the application this time around.
Okay, so here we go. I'll show you guys what we're going to do here. We're going to do it one building at a time, and I'll kind of show you why that is. Let's get a zoom in here on one of these.
Yep.
This is the connector building. If you guys are wondering, like, ugh, why is it empty like that? It is designed to link like here, and then I'm grabbing Brett's. It connects.
Yeah, so these buildings can be used on their own,
Like this.
or
Yeah.
you can link them together using this linker piece.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to do the linking piece here first. So I've got the Dawnstone. Again, I'll show you guys the wet palette. Again, it's pretty wet here. I poured some on like this, and I squirted it down with a little bit of water and kind of just worked it into like a milky consistency. Okay, so then wet brushing, here we go. With the Dawnstone, we are going to, again, sort of just move around, hit some areas. Again, we want to kind of leave recesses around. I'm being actually a little splotchy with it, and you're going to see why that is. So being a little splotchy, here we go.
And am I doing like the stucco as well as the bricks? Just all of it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we are gonna differentiate the bricks, but we're gonna do that in the final, not airbrushing, excuse me.
Not airbrushing.
Dry brushing
No
process.
airbrushing here today.
Okay, here's where things get a little wacky. After this has happened, what we're gonna do, maybe we can pull out the zoom, Brett. This isn't super, yeah, here we go. So this is a spray bottle with just plain water in it. Okay, let me make sure. There we go. And we're gonna spray this thing. And what that's going to do is make the Dawnstone into a runny mess.
Oh my gosh. This is giving me anxiety, Zach.
Yeah. You're going to see, though, it looks like an absolute mess. Let me put it on a towel and put it on the glam cam.
Yeah, on a towel because it's so much of a mess.
Yeah, you guys are going to be like, what is he doing? But I promise it's going to look great when it dries. So this is a great way to get kind of like a natural like stone or like Brett was just saying stucco kind of a look. I promise that's gonna look decent.
It's gonna look fab
by the end of the stream. Okay, I'm taking it off glam cam, setting it here. Totally needs time to dry, and while that's happening, I'm gonna get going on the rest of them.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So be sloppy and be quick, Brett. Also because
I don't want it to dry.
Don't want it to dry.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. So you got to be quick.
Okay. And I don't want to cover the whole thing. I'm intentionally trying to not cover the whole thing, right?
You can cover. I mean, like here, you can see that's the wall I just did.
Okay.
That's the look.
All right, cool. I think it's too much time has elapsed.
Yeah. So sorry, that I should mention there's this element. Yeah, that looks great. That's perfect.
All right. I mean, this side, it basically all washed off. Is that okay?
That's okay.
But this side, it didn't. That's all right.
Okay.
Different, it's a south face.
Yeah. Okay, so here's this guy.
Oh, man, I just got water all over the mouse.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt Baker. Evening, gents. You guys totally sold me on an Aztec theme for my Talons kill team a few streams ago. Advice for some lush-looking turquoise cloth. Lush-looking turquoise cloth. I feel like Vallejo blue-green,
Yeah.
right?
Vallejo blue
Maybe
green.
that's a little. Maybe you were expecting that.
Yeah. Lots of times, like with turquoise for cloth, which I actually have done this before, you want to like probably start with like, I know Citadel name colors. You want to start probably with something like, I think it's just called Night Lord's blue. Like it's very blue. It's like a very dark blue.
Yeah.
And then like build up from there, and then like ending on like Temple Guard blue is the GW color. But there is no like super dark turquoise, right? The closest thing to a super dark turquoise that you could also build up from is called Incubi Darkness, which is a color I love. It's like a very dark blue-green. It's got a little blue, a lot of, it's just a wacky color.
Well, I think the question you want to ask yourself is, do you want this to be more blue or more green? And that's an important, that's an important distinction because there are a lot of colors that skew one way or the other. And then, you know, I don't know, would you think, I'm struggling to remember the name of them now. There's those paints that are like sort of glosses that they're more pigment than wash. They're almost for like tinting a clear windshield. You know what I'm talking about, Zach? They're like gels or like, I don't know.
I mean, I know that there's like the Soulstone technical ones that people use with like gems. Yeah.
Yep. I wonder if you could like start with some kind of a turquoise color and then apply sort of a tint it using something like that. I don't know how good that would look on cloth.
Cloth, yeah, I'm not sure, but maybe. I haven't done that, but
who knows what the cloth of Talons is made out of? Maybe it's made out of unobtainium mithril links.
I know, right?
You know,
So I would build it up. I'd look into either like Night Lord's blue, or Incubi Darkness. Start there, and honestly, most paint lines have like good, like there's just with cloth you need to build it up.
Yeah.
And so if you're gonna do, if you're airbrushing, it's probably gonna be 4 colors, ending with a white. And honestly, if you're not airbrushing, it's probably gonna be 4 colors ending with a white. Yeah. And this process right here that we're doing, the wet painting, could actually go well if the areas are big and open enough.
Oh, interesting.
And maybe separate from the rest of the model. You could maybe use the wet painting technique a little bit, but you need like smaller brushes than the sponge brushes we're using. Some people, you can even use like the little foam inserts that you yank out of like a case.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The pick and pluck foam.
Yep. Okay, so while our Dawnstone is drying on our stone buildings, what we're going to do is dry brush Dawnstone onto the stone walls that we've been working on. Now, we already did some brown here, and we let the brown get on the base because we wanted it to kind of look like dirt. It's okay if the Dawnstone goes over top of that brown. We're never going to cover that brown up. It's going to peek through. So that's okay. Do try to avoid getting Dawnstone on the actual ground though, because we're actually not going to do too much more to the ground. So we will do a little bit more, but not too much more. So boom, there's Dawnstone, and now you can see it's starting to come to life a little bit more. There's my stone wall. I actually have a brush full of Dawnstone here, Brett.
Yeah.
That I'll pass to you to do your 2 walls.
Great.
I'm not
loaded with Dawnstone.
Yeah, Dawnstone loaded brush. So again, we're just actually using the same color sequence that we're using on the buildings. Just
it makes this process very complementary. You know, like while the buildings are drying, we can dry brush the walls, and then the walls have a chance to dry. We can go back and work on the buildings.
Yep. So then next is Mournfang Brown, and this Mournfang Brown is going on all of my wood, fences, and posts. So Mournfang Brown, you can see kind of like a medium brown. And boom, 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 starting to come to life. I'm going to go ahead and hit this tree with browns. I know you guys are probably thinking that I'm really going back on my convictions here that trees are not brown. But we are going to do some other stuff to the tree uniquely. Go ahead and get the Mournfang also on the...
That's a dead tree, isn't it?
It is a dead tree.
Yeah, so trees turn brown after they die.
They turn brown.
We've established
after they
that,
die, We can get the Mournfang brown on the ground, the base for the fence. But again, we just want to try to avoid getting any more gray on the base. If we get some, it's not going to be a big deal because we do have a few more dry brushes. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
And that's how you knock out terrain fast, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, both of these materials, stone and wood, take to dry brushing really well.
Yep.
So this is a great, if you're just getting started in the hobby, if you're looking to make some terrain or looking to make some terrain quickly, this is both a quick process as well as a beginner-friendly process. And honestly, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would make my terrain first before I made any models. I feel like it would be a great way to sort of get over some of that analysis paralysis, just get your feet wet with the tools and the processes, the painting, the palette, the
some kind of
cup of water.
Some kind of like basic techniques.
Yeah, like baby steps, like super low pressure. Maybe you haven't even decided what army you're going to play yet.
Yeah.
You can build this and get started while you read the lore books and figure it out.
It's not a bad idea. The problem is nobody wants to do that. Nobody,
I know.
Nobody's
You're
like,
right.
oh man, I
I mean,
really
you're
want to
right.
play 40K so I can start making terrain.
Let me go buy some terrain and. Yeah.
But it does make
You're
good
not wrong.
sense. I think I would probably tell somebody to I would tell everybody to airbrush and kind of get a basic airbrushed army down. If you can afford to start the hobby airbrushing, I would. And then I would say now to go back, kind of what to your point, Brett, I would say now go back and jump on some terrain and try to get these other processes down. Yeah. Okay, these guys are drying. Nice and quick here. Look at that. You see how it's starting to look?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Let me pull one up on the cam.
And the dripping looks super authentic.
Yeah, it looks just like natural, kind of like stone, right?
Yeah, and like weathered stone.
Yeah.
It's been out in the elements. Water's rained on it.
Okay, so we still got a lot of processes left. We haven't even started the roof yet, which we're going to start here right now, actually. But yeah, there you go. You can see pretty coming together, and it's still wet. So we still have many more layers, not many more layers, but a few more layers to put on there. So, okay, let me go ahead and get going on the roofs. The roofs are super easy. The first thing I want to make sure here, though, as I'm working on the roof, is that it's dry. Because we have been working and spraying a lot of water around. So I really want the roof to be dry.
Okay.
I'm going to dry with a rag.
Yeah.
Here. Okay. The roof process is pretty simple. All we're going to do is dry brush it, 2 colors, and then use a wash on it. Mm-hmm. The first color we're going to do.
I love these thatched roofs so much.
They're easy to.
Goobertown Hobbies has a video where he paints a village of buildings. It might even be this kit for all I know. But they have this style of roof, and he really leans into the World of Warcraft Stormwind idea, where it's an entire city with different regions, and the regions within the city have different roof thatch tiles as their theme.
Yeah.
And so he does a bunch of test models of different colors in the roof.
Oh, interesting.
But I like what you've done here with the yellows, but you could totally, these rooftop thatch tiles is, I feel like, the sort of artistic element here that you get to choose.
It's a place to get fun, right?
Yeah, add some color.
I like gray. I like yellow with gray. And if I had done kind of stucco tile, then I think I would have done beige. I think I probably would have done red or aqua. So you guys can see here this process, also not super pretty. As I started here, I am dry brushing. Now we talk about concepts of dry brushing versus overbrushing. And to me, I would encourage you to think of them as a spectrum, not one is on, one is off. Overbrushing is when you take paint, wet paint, and you pretty much just go without drying it off. And then dry brushing is, most people would say, is the very opposite of that, where you really make sure it's off your brush. So I would say like this is a little bit of a close to the overbrushing side, and I'm letting natural kind of like colorations occur. Meaning like here it's a little darker. You can see here it's a little lighter.
And again, like that's a feature that's not something you have to solve or try to avoid. It's like part of what you're going for with this process.
Okay, so you can see I wasn't as thorough about getting the paint off my brush as I sometimes in the past, depending on what I'm dry brushing. Okay, and the first coat gonna look crappy, guys.
It's a theme here tonight.
Yeah. It's important to remember, like
you have to be good at delaying gratification.
Yeah, I think so.
Can I have some of that as well?
Yes. So this, by the way, the color I'm using here is called Averlin Sunset.
We've used this in the past for caution striping, right?
Exactly, yeah. Our caution stripes are this color as well. And we're going to use, I think it's called Phalanx Yellow as well, which is also what we use for the stripes. These two colors go well together. So there's the first kind of layer of my Averlin Sunset. You could put a second layer of Averlin Sunset on if you were like really feeling a little stressed about how sloppy and messy it looks. But I honestly promise you that you don't need to. I'm not going to. But you've got those two roofs, right?
Yep.
What I am a little more stressed about is that I forgot to do this chimney, so I'm gonna have to figure out. I might do something different
with gray.
Yeah.
You want? Okay.
Maybe I might do it red or something.
Yeah, that could work.
Do something fun. Why not? Let's have some fun. You know.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah. If you were, so you can see one of the ways, like with the thatch roof thing here, you can just, or the tiled roof, you can just like go the other way as well. There's a little less like splotchy here. If you see an area that's like a little too splotchy for your liking, just go the other way.
It cleans it right up, yeah. I've noticed that too, yeah.
Okay, so this is looking pretty good. It should look kind of like, I don't know, like if that was an Imperial Fist, you'd be like, wow, this looks like crap.
Not very impressive Imperial Fist. He's seen some stuff.
Wow, that's where people like get on like, wait, guys, how do I paint yellow, right? But here,
painting yellow is hard.
Painting here though, not too bad, right?
Well, I mean, if this is your standard, it's yeah.
Yeah, this is
not
easy,
difficult.
right? Okay, so after Averlin Sunset, I'm gonna do Phalanx Yellow, and this is a much brighter yellow. And as this goes on, you're gonna be like, oh wow.
Oh, Zach.
What?
I splattered yellow all down the side of the building.
Okay, well, is it still wet? Just use a wet brush and wet a clean brush, and might even just come off with your.
Use the old thumb eraser. I don't think there's quite room for that.
Yeah.
I was hoping you would say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. We're gonna."
No, that matters.
All right, I'm on it.
Okay.
Yellow's coming off.
So, Brett, I know you're on that, but we can do this here. I'll show you guys. You can see the Phalanx Yellow going on, significantly brighter, right? You guys can see. And again, just going straight down. The technique here, the craft here is not something you need to worry about. You need to stress. You don't need to practice on a bunch of test models to get good at this.
And this is sort of a highlight color we're doing now, right?
Yeah. And this is, by the way, if you're wondering, this is an air paint. You guys know I love air paints. They're already pre-thinned for me. So this is Phoenician Yellow right out of the bottle. Is this a highlight color? Yeah, I guess so. You know, I don't oftentimes like think heavily about highlighting terrain. So really this is kind of the color of the tile.
Right, okay. So the other was more of a base coat.
Yeah.
Averlin Sunset was more of a base coat. This is more of the color. Mm-hmm. And then maybe we'll highlight with some white later?
No. Actually, what we are going to do is put some streaks on it with a fan brush. I forgot to mention, we're going to use a fan brush, which is somebody in the short I posted was like, oh my gosh, I've never thought about using a fan brush before. I never knew what to do with it. Believe me, I didn't either. I actually was like, I want to put some nice like coloration streaks down here. Oh, sorry, let me hogging that. And I was like, oh, the fan brush might look perfect for that, work perfect for that, and it was actually. Think here, if you've got like a chimney, you can do something fun here. You know, something might be running down or not running down, so you could kind of imagine what you wanted to do here in the area right beneath the chimney. Like we could have the streaks occur less. I think that's what I'm going to do, but I also left it a little bit darker, as you can see. Okay, so that's it. Look. I'm gonna put this guy back on Glam Cam here, so you can see so far what the roof looks like. Although we have one more step on the roof, and it looks pretty old. This is not a nice clean roof. To do a nice clean roof, I don't know. I'd probably do what I just did, Phoenician yellow. I'd probably do it at least one more time, maybe two more times, and I probably wouldn't do the step I'm about to do right now. So I'm gonna take here. When I said a fan brush, if you're wondering what that is,
Yeah.
it's this guy.
All right, I'll zoom in on you.
It comes in, honestly, these come in like whenever you buy in these like kind of ugly brush bags.
Yeah, they always come in a variety pack.
Yeah.
And you're always like, what the heck am I going to do with this one weird brush?
Yeah.
That's all splayed out. It's like, no, I buy brushes, and I throw brushes away when they look like that.
Yeah, so I'm using a Seraphim Sepia here. And watch, we just go right down like this. Nice and gentle. Few layers.
And is this a paint or a wash?
This is Seraphim Sepia, and it is a wash.
It's a wash, yeah, okay. And it's similar to like Agrax.
It is. It's a little more of like a yellowish brown.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you know, it's like it's the sepia.
It's a sepia wash,
Sepia,
yeah.
yeah. So you're gonna see it actually is gonna kind of like bring it to life a little bit. And it's wet, so this is kind of cheating, but I'll show you guys on the Glam Cam. One half with the wash and one half without the wash. So you're looking at the half without the wash right now. And then as it rotates here, and actually this stuff dries pretty quick, you're gonna see though, the sepia really kind of like brings it to life in like a grody way.
Yeah, that looks so good.
Yeah, it's still like got a little bit of a sheen on it from being wet, and that will go away. But there you go.
It went from looking, oh, that's not great. That's not a great paint job to, oh, wow. That looks like it's almost done.
Yeah. And that's an important distinction, right? Because you don't actually want to be like, if people are like, hey, I noticed that your terrain all looks like it was pretty crappily painted.
Right.
You know, first of all, you know, honesty's nice, but hopefully they don't deliver it to you like that. But if they're like, hey, I noticed that your terrain kind of sucks, and you're like, well, it's supposed to suck. It's old and weathered. That's not okay.
Yeah.
They're right, not you. They're mean, though.
They're mean.
Better delivery.
But the criticism is valid.
Their criticism is valid. So, yeah, washes really kind of help just, I don't know, make it all okay.
Make it all okay.
And the fan brush is really nice. I don't think you need a fan brush to do this, guys. I just found that it kind of like provided some natural kind of like streaks that look like, you know, what rain would do as it went down a roof. A really steep roof, too, quite frankly.
It gives me a reason to own a fan brush.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I have this fan brush because I got it in my cheap hobby brush, craft brush kit.
Yeah. Yeah.
What am I going to do with it?
If you guys have bought ugly brushes, like a bag of crappy craft brushes, there's probably one in there. And that's what you can use for it. And you could do this on like flat terrain too. So like if you're doing terrain like Imperial terrain in 40K, just get after you've like tinted it whatever other color and just like streak down. And you can actually see when it gets like here's the one Brett's about to use. Actually, you can use mine now. You want to get a close up?
Oh yeah.
In some ways, the crappy ones are great.
Something happens to
Here's
them.
one that has not had water, and here's one that has.
Oh, gosh.
So when you dip it in wash, this happens to it, and this is actually what you want.
Right.
In fact, I'm going to give this one to Brett
Right,
since
yeah.
it's already been used.
Because you want it to like apply it unevenly.
There's the sepia, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay, I'm going to set my building back to dry. Cool.
What's next?
Yeah, we're cruising along here. We have so we've done our stone. We've done our 2 coats of Mechanicus Standard.
Yep.
We did our coat of Dawnstone, which we then sprayed directly with water and let kind of run and become a running goopy mess. And I know it looked really scary. Let's actually put Brett's tower. His is about dry. We'll put Brett's tower on the glam cam, and you guys can see because he was worried. He was like, "Oh my god!"
I thought this was going to turn into a couple episodes ago, streams ago, we did a thing where we sprayed it with water and then airbrushed it and then wiped it off.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was going to be this process was going to be something like that, where we like dabbed the water off.
Yeah.
But no.
Nope.
Plot twist. You just let it dry.
You just let it dry. There it is. So this is pretty close to being ready for the next step, which is less exciting but necessary. So first, Brett, I'm gonna sneak in and do one step on your tower while you're doing that, which is I'm gonna actually go ahead and
do the wood.
Yeah, do the wood. The top of this tower is.
It's got some planks.
It's got some planks. So we're going to do it the same way we did all the other wood on this table so far, which is Rhinox hide first. Now Brett has already got some gray on it here, but that's not going to matter.
Yeah, it's just a base coat, really. Yep. It's a primer, an extended primer.
Yep. So boom, boom, boom. And I'm really excited for a lot of the wacky techniques we're doing here today. We have one more super wacky technique that we're going to do, which is we're going to fake spraying non-oil from an airbrush with a spray bottle.
With a spray bottle.
It's really not that wacky, actually.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
When you're not allowed to use an airbrush because the title of your video proclaims it, you cheat.
You have to cheat, yeah, and we're definitely going to cheat.
We talked about, Rochambeauing to see who would have to put the non-oil in their mouth and just spit it on the models.
And then we were like,
And then right before we were like, oh wait, I think there's probably a thing we can buy from the dollar store for $1 that will solve this problem for us.
Yeah. Okay, let's check in. Again, we're at this cool process while you're doing this kit. We're at this process where things are drying. So while they dry, we're going to revisit our stone walls.
Okay.
Our stone walls have had, let's talk about the stone part, right? They've had Mechanicus Standard dry brushed.
Yep.
They've had Dawnstone dry brushed. So we're now moving up to the next color, which is Administratum gray on them.
Okay.
And so let me grab. We don't need too big of a brush for this. How are these guys looking? Yeah, I'll use this one.
Is there one here?
No, there isn't.
Only one.
There's not a lot in this one. So let me.
That's fine.
Let me kind of get going. Here, I'll tell you what, I'll dump a little bit out for myself. Maybe a little more than I need. Okay, boom.
All right.
All right, so then here, if we zoom here, you guys will see that it is going to, this is where it's going to like really come to life. Make sure the Administratum gray is not, remember we were just talking about overbrushing versus wet, versus dry brushing. So we should do a vocab recap here in a second, but overbrushing, we don't want to overbrush here. We really do want to dry brush. So overbrush means we don't worry about getting all of it off of our brush. Dry brushing means we do. And here we want it mostly off of our brush. So make sure you do get it off your brush as you do this.
If you really just want it to pick up the edges.
Yep. We have one more color that we're going to do our stone. You can probably guess what it is. It's
non-oil?
No, actually, we're not going to do that on these. We have one more dry brush color, which is going to be white.
White.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then these things are almost done.
Yeah, stone is like one of my first painting projects when I was getting into Warhammer Fantasy Battles, actually, way back when, was to make a set of walls like these.
Yeah.
And I did them out of foam blocks, glued the sand on, cut out a bunch of foam, glued it together, put sand on it, and then did something very similar to this. It was like a great intro to hobby techniques.
Definitely. Stone is nice for working on. Dry brushing. And
Yeah.
when we come back to the houses, the buildings, Brett, you were asking about the stone kind of around the base.
Yep.
We're going to like work with them differently than we work with the rest.
Yeah.
And so you'll see that they will sing, they will pop out a little bit more than
Right.
yeah.
Vincent says that he just finished a bottle of Nuln Oil without wasting a single drop. I feel like that is an achievement worthy of accolades. That's very impressive.
Without spilling it?
Spilling it,
Yeah.
or like, having it end up all over the table somewhere, and putting too much on your.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like whenever I buy Nuln Oil, it's about half of it gets actually on models.
Oh, I do have to say that that happens to me with not Nuln Oil so much, but with Microsol and Microset for decals. I think my Nuln Oil, I typically close the pot before I do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens with Microsol and Microset?
I spill them. I don't.
It gets everywhere?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I've never spilled those products. And as a result, like, you don't use any of it at all. Like,
Yeah.
I've had the bottle for 2 years, and I've done, I guess I don't do a ton of decals, but you can't tell that there's any missing from the bottle at all.
Yeah, I bought two. I bought one set of Microsol and Microset, maybe kind of sometime during COVID as I was starting my Assyriani army. It's like, I might need it because I've spilled my other ones so much. And then it was like, I haven't opened them yet. Like you said, the ones that are spilled are like down to a third.
Right.
They're still down to a third. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you basically need none.
Yep.
Because you soak it and then you just pour it back in the bottle.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to pass Brett his castle. I'm going to take one of these tiny buildings.
My castle.
Yeah, and
Does that mean I'm a lord?
Yeah, we are now ready to. It's actually really not a castle. I guess it's a
watchtower.
Watchtower, yeah. And so this is still a little wet, but that's okay. What we're going to do now is pick out some details, and so this is necessary to get a little bit of color going. You guys probably will not be surprised to learn that I'm going to start with my dear friends, the Basecoating Craftwork pens.
We're going to get to use Craftwork pens today.
Yeah, I've got some gold. I've got some silver. I don't exactly remember what I did. So I'm going to grab the reference one. I'm going to grab the reference castle for Brett. The other color we do use for metal is it's Castellax Bronze, which is right here. And I have all the metals marked out right here, Brett. So you can kind of just have fun with anything metal all over the castle. Here is this guy. So I'm setting the reference here so I can see. And then I'm going to go ahead and start working. Just knocking out some quick details. Still some wetness going on in my on my thing, but here we go. How's chat doing, Brett?
Chat's doing great. Meg bought Vincent a cat sticker as a reward for his achievement.
Oh, for using Nuln Oil?
For using an entire bottle of Nuln Oil and not spilling it. Yeah.
Stickers, that's fun.
I know. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Chat's doing great. We haven't, speaking of chat, while we're doing this, maybe it's time for us to do our weekly segment where we review your hobby stuff, everyone. So this is a thing we've started doing a few weeks ago. If you're new and just joining us for the first time, you can join the Tabletop Titans Discord, and in one of the hobby sections there, post your pictures of progress that you've made in the last week, and we'll comb through sort of the relevant channels, hobby progress, terrain channel, and look for things that catch our eye. It doesn't necessarily have to be the best. It just is something that strikes us as interesting and worthy of highlighting. And so we put those together into this little montage. So this first one is a slan. Is that right?
This is Lord Croak. This is a beautiful model. I'm excited to start working on this myself. As peeps know, I've been playing some Age of Sigmar, and I do have a beast called Raiders Army. That's kind of going to be my fun army.
Right.
My my thinkers army is going to be Seraphon, and so I'm really excited for him. He's pretty much a terrain piece.
Yeah.
He's like a little slain in the middle of like these like gyroscopic stone slabs and magic swirls and trees and stuff. So it's a beautiful model. Really excited to paint it. Let's see what else we have. People have been starting to put their names on things, which is great. Oh, this guy's cloak.
That cloak is amazing.
Yeah, this cloak is looking great. This is an AOS model, but I think he might be proxying it as a 40K model.
Right.
So this is Super Rudy's GF, something owl, Mighty Owl. And she's working here on this bird, and it's looking good. The colors are nice. Oh, I'm going to come back to these too.
Okay.
But the bird is looking great. The thing I did notice is the edge highlight.
Yeah, she spent a ton of time on edge highlighting feathers,
I think with feathers the trick is to dry brush.
Dry brushing, yeah.
So if Mighty Owl, if you're like, oh, the edge highlighting is a lot of work, and I'm not sure if I like the look, try dry brushing. A few, don't go straight to white. Start with like a blue. You have blues and purples. Like blues and purples slightly lighter than what you have, and then work up from there.
Yeah, I think it'll be easier, and you'll save yourself a lot of time too.
Yeah, the other guys, it's a great look. Oh yeah, there's so much great stuff today. The bird is looking awesome though.
So this looks like some terrain that we similar to what we have done.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
With the stencil.
I think he did a better job than me though. I love this weathering that he's done. The kind of black.
Right. There's some pock marks.
Battle mark, like it's been blasted.
Some explosions.
I think that looks awesome.
And that's Mephiston.
Yeah, there's Mephiston.
Oh, that's a great finished piece.
Little T-Suns here.
Some brand new Thousand Suns.
Yeah.
I bet there's going to be a lot of those next week.
Yeah. More and more.
Oh my gosh. And this is an orc weird boy?
Yeah, this is the weird boy.
Yeah.
This is an interesting kit. That smoke can be tricky to deal with. His looked good. It can be a mess. This banner looks amazing. Yeah, this cloak.
Was that a Lord of the Rings orc?
It looked like the face, didn't it? Yeah, I was noticing
maybe
that.
A conversion.
Yeah, I think so. Here's the bird again.
Right.
Yeah, loving these colors.
I think there were a few more that we missed.
Yes, definitely. I want to look at some of these.
Yeah, so what is this guy?
Okay, so this is actually Orc Zach, and he is, making these little measuring tools. These are awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah. This base is killer.
Right.
Yeah,
oh my
lava
gosh.
Base, love it.
Can you imagine doing that on that must be for Custodes' army, right?
I don't know.
I could not imagine doing that on Imperial Guard.
Andrew's I'm thinking Blood
Angels
yeah.
Dreadnought? Yeah.
This is super cool. So
I love this idea.
The thing that I really like about this idea is when you look at that, for me, the first thing that jumped to mind was, oh, what a great way to use all your firstborn Marines to make statues.
Yeah.
I will say, I forgot the name on the firstborn Marine statue. So this is sort of like I should clarify that I think, because nobody's asking for hobby advice here. I just pull things up. We just find things we love. So I should say, Mighty Owl, I think the dry brush is an option. It's not the only option. The edge highlighting you're doing is another way. And to that end, I would say the statue, one of the things that we've been working with verdigris, and we did a verdigris statue. One of the things that actually it can benefit from, it's a different look, but is to, when it's all completely done, is to use either Runefang steel, kind of like a mid or bright steel, and give it really make sure the brush is dry, and give it a quick dry brush.
Yeah.
Like a messy, quick, all over dry brush.
Right.
And it can kind of make the few remaining areas that aren't, the few roundest, most prominent areas will sing to life a little bit.
Yeah.
And it builds up some contrast with the verdigris. So I will say, think about that. Although it's not better, it's just different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Pat and Vincent are letting us know that the base is almost certainly salamanders. I don't know. Were you guys one of the ones that submitted this? Why is it though that salamanders are always fighting on lava? They just carry it around with them.
Well, I think their home world is.
Yeah, but don't they
go other places.
Fight other places?
Kind of like Space Wolves. People always base Space Wolves.
Yeah, they only fight in cold weather. Like, sorry,
Yeah.
it's too warm down there. We can't, Space Wolves can't be involved in that nonsense.
Exactly. Awesome stuff as always, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone for submitting your work. I wanted to comment on this Imperial Fist.
Oh yeah, this is Soups.
Is that a
Greedy.
Tech Marine? No, or he's got an Aggressor Fist. Not quite sure what model that is.
I have no clue.
It's a cool model regardless. Thank you everyone for submitting your submissions. Yeah, and look forward to seeing all of your Thousand Suns next week.
I do forget
Grenades.
who did those walls, the pink foam walls, but I think I'm going to reach out to him. I want to know. There's a number of ways to kind of do the blast marks.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I've tried blast marks before, and I've followed a few different instructions. I've never loved the way they've come out for me, but I really do like his a lot.
Yeah, they came out
So
amazing.
I kind of just want to know what he did and just do that one, because those are some of the better ones I've seen.
Right. So we are now. What do we? You want to recap
Where we're at?
Where we're at? Yeah, what we're working on.
All right, Airbrush-Free, Airbrush-Free.
Right.
Painting.
The terrain is not free. We are painting it. There was some confusion about that in chat.
Oh yeah.
Apparently some folks thought that we were airbrushing free terrain.
That is also sort of what's happening. I mean, this was just free. Brian just had this here.
Yeah.
So it was free to us, not free to Brian. Not free to Brian 16 years ago or whenever he bought it.
Thanks, 16-year-old. 16 years ago, Brian.
16 years ago, Brian. He probably would have been, I don't know. He's close to our age.
Yeah.
He's about our age.
All right, so we're markering the airbrush-free terrain.
Yep. Just hitting some areas that I want to be metal. The thing about this building is there's like these sort of, maybe Brett, if we can do a top down, I can zoom and show. So there's just like some areas here and there's like some little things sticking out. Little comets are like a common theme in AOS world, and even in as the mortal realms started to come to an end.
And these are like in relief on the model. There's comets.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of funny.
So
Okay.
I'm just hitting some stuff that's like sticking up, and it's going to stick out like crazy because the Basecoating Craftwork pen is so opaque. But we are going to bring all of this back down a little bit here. There's some swords kind of in here. I'm gonna go in, and I am being a little careful here because I don't just want silver all over the place.
And one of the things that we'll have to be careful about is because the Craftwork pen can be rubbed off fairly easily, even after it's dried.
It can.
So we'll have to make sure to apply a layer of varnish when we're done. Kind of our last step. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm not going to leave those. Looks like I didn't do those here. So cool. I think everything I want to be one of the Basecoating Craftwork colors is done. You can see my building's still a little wet. So before I finish any details on this building with a little bit of Castellax bronze, I'm going to check some of the other. Here's the connecting building. It's got this thing on the back. I think I'm going to do. This is wood, so I actually need to do some of this wood. I don't know what the heck this is.
This building has spikes in the windows, and I don't mean bars. I mean like actual like
yeah. I just went
spikes.
down, so you can see. I just went down.
Yeah,
silver.
but I'm like trying to imagine what the purpose of like, what's the point of a window? Well, I guess maybe if you're trapped inside, if it's a dungeon, you want to trap people inside, and you want them to not be able to get out, but you're not so mean as to like just deny them fresh air and sunlight. So you've given them a window.
I mean, if you think about it, it works. You still can't get out.
Right.
You can hurt yourself really bad. I
You
guess
hurt
you
yourself
could,
really
yeah.
bad.
That's what maybe the problem is. You could just end it.
You could, you can, if you wanted to.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna, let's do some Castellax bronze here on this thing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back and hit a few areas with bronze. Unfortunately, I don't have a Basecoating Craftwork pen in this color. And I love this color. I love bronze colored metal. When I'm doing metal, I kind of like to have a variety. And I think the pen is a little bit of a crutch in this way because I find that I'm like, all right, now I actually have to paint. Oh boy, like unless I want everything to be just this shade of silver and just this shade of gold,
Right.
I actually am going to have to get a brush out and work, which is fine. This is a big area anyway.
But like the we were talking about earlier, you can definitely apply a wash over a tint over the silver to give it a lot of different looks.
You can, yeah, absolutely. In this particular case, yeah, just using Castellax Air and just knocking out. The doors are going to be this bronze color, Castellax bronze.
Yeah.
You have one there, as you'll have to do as well, Brett, on the castle. So just the connecting building and the castle or the lookout tower have the metal door.
Yep.
Yeah, but the coverage is good. It just goes right on like that. Cool. Boom, boom. There's the back. I'm going to let that dry before I do a little more work. I still don't exactly know. This looks like it's wood. It's kind of interesting. All right, checking up on this guy. I'm going to eventually have to get to this chimney. I think I have some plans for that. But before I do that, why don't I go ahead and knock out the little weird metal pipes all over the chimney. We're going to do them with bronze as well. This.
Yeah, that's interesting. What do you think is going on in that building that they've got this giant bronze piping chimney coming out of the?
I don't know. Yeah, the other building didn't have this, or at least Brian hadn't assembled it that way. So not sure. While we wait and give Brett here, just put this here. Here's a brush for the
bronze. Okay.
Yeah, bronze. Okay, while I'm doing that, while that's happening, let's do this. I'm going to take a couple dry brushes here, and I'm going to do both the chimney and the trees, because they're actually going to use similar colors. So the chimney here, we're going to start with...
You're going to do the chimney like a brown color?
Galvorbach red.
Oh, red.
Yeah.
Got it.
So the chimney here, I'm going to go ahead and dry brush Galvorbach red on it. And I might hit my stupid bronze pipe. I probably shouldn't have done that first, but whatever. Making sure to cover up the yellow. I do need to be not totally Mr. Sloppy dry brush here, because I do need to actually mark out an area. So getting the Galvorbach, again, if we're talking about dry brush versus overbrush, I'd say we're a little closer to overbrush right about now, because I do want to get this on there.
So dry brush and overbrush, is that sort of a spectrum?
Exactly, right. I was saying that earlier. And they talk about this, man, one of the first, from around the same time period as this building, they used to, Games Workshop used to make these books, right? How to make terrain, how to paint miniatures. I had
That's
these.
Right.
And one of they talk about this term of overbrushing versus dry brushing, right? Here, I'm really doing an overbrush, which means I am really not getting the paint off. But that's okay, because the model has enough ridges and bumps that it's going to still sort of be like a dry brush, but my coverage is just way quicker and a little faster than doing sitting here and dry brushing until I build up.
It's like incomplete coverage.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think of it as a spectrum, and I remember the book I always remember the book having a passage that kind of talks about how they're sort of the same, they're sort of related to each other. And the way I would encourage people to think about it, again, is like a spectrum, like you just said, Brett. So this first coat, lots of times the first one can be more of an overbrush, and that's what I really just did here with the Galvorbach red. By contrast, moving on to my tree stumps here, these guys already have some of the brown on them. They already have, I want the black to come through. So I am actually, with the Galvorbach, going to be a little bit more of a dry brush on the trees. Because I don't actually want the trees to be that much of a different color than the things going on around them.
Right.
It's all dead wood, right?
When we did the giant sequoia trees, oh gosh, more than a month ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
That was how we did those as well. It was just primed black and then reds and oranges dry brushed to pick up the wood grain.
Yep.
And that technique worked really well.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. It had some green in it too. We did.
Oh yes.
We did do a green.
Yep.
Green and red together, especially drabber greens and reds, end up kind of giving you this grayish brown type look. Mm-hmm. Which I'm really into. Okay, so there's the tree so far. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Word Bearer's Red. And you can see I didn't bother cleaning my brush off. Gonna hit the trees with a little Word Bearer's Red. And they're done, actually. So the trees are good.
You can lift that up a little bit.
Yeah. So there they are. Not a lot of work there on these guys. Only a few of the fences actually have these trees. Okay, we are also going to hit the chimney with Word Bearer's Red, which you can see in a sequence here. Gavar Brock, Word Bearers. But the chimney is also going to have one more color, unlike the trees. So don't worry if you're like, well, this is kind of stupid. He's doing the trees and the chimney in the exact same way. Trees and chimneys aren't the same color. Don't worry, we will be adding one more color. So quick knocking. This is a little bit more of a dry brush, but sort of also don't super care if a lot of the bricks get, brick red, because that is what Word Bearer's Red is. It's really like a brick red. So I'm pretty cool with that. So again, I would say not a super aggressive clean dry brush. It's on that spectrum of dry brushing versus overbrushing, but it is somewhere in the middle. Whereas the first one was a little bit more of an overbrush, the next one's going to be a little bit more of a dry brush. How's it going?
Alrighty, looks good. I'm going to switch over to bronze.
Oh yeah.
Which one was this? This guy?
Yeah. Right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Castle Axe.
Castle Axe bronze. The last color I'm going to do, and we are going to use this color for something else, is called Death Claw Brown. And it's really not brown. And I'm actually leaving on my brush.
That is very orange.
Yeah, I'm leaving on my brush. I am leaving the red on the brush.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like by design. This is going to be an aggressive dry brush, but I left like the Word Bearer's Red in the brush.
Yep.
So in this way, we're actually getting like a natural gradients.
Yep.
And if we want to do a little top down, you can see this chimney. Here it is, kind of starting to sing to life here. So I like to say.
This is a thing you can do with especially progressive dry brushing is you just don't clean your brush between colors, and it's nice because cleaning your brush would require getting it wet, which then makes the next dry brush kind of awkward. Either have to like very intensely dry it or just not use that brush for a while.
Which is what we usually do around.
Just use a different.
That's why when we go back to front view, you'll see behind Brett and I is honestly like a big a bin of crappy brushes, and we crank out a lot of terrain here, so like you use a lot of those.
Yeah, so we'll just for switching colors, but you don't always have to switch or clean your brush in between colors. You don't have to. And I actually do this a little bit with airbrushing too. Like if you're sort of gradually bringing up a tone, and you run your airbrush out of a color, if there's a little bit left on the inside of the airbrush, it's probably fine if you don't completely get rid of all of it.
Agree. Okay, hitting some of the chimney here a little bit more than other parts to give just like a little bit of natural gradient. You can see a little bit more on one side here.
You want me to do this metal door the bronze color as well, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, there's a little chimney coming to life.
That looks great. And I actually like the fact that it's a different color than the main stone.
Yeah,
It adds a contrasting
I'm glad we
element.
did that.
Yeah.
Good thing I forgot about that.
Happy accidents.
Yeah, happy accidents. Okay, I'm gonna steal a little bit of the bronze from you on occasion.
You can take
here.
it. Put it between us here.
Brush. Yeah, let me give it a shake. Okay, so cool. We're getting close to our next super fun step here on the buildings. So hitting with a little bit of bronze, some other parts of the chimney that are supposed to be bronze, and I did cover up some of the stuff. But there we go. Man,
Do you ever paint, dip your paint brush right in the pot, Zach?
all the time.
Okay.
I mean the lid.
The lid, right?
Yeah, is that what you meant?
Yes.
As opposed to what?
Pouring it into a palette, yeah.
Oh yeah, all the time. Especially like stuff like this, right? Where I'm just like, I need a little bit of bronze.
Yeah.
I don't need to like paint 10 bronze like Marines or something, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, I do too. I think it gets a bad rap from time to time.
Oh, does it? Maybe I've seen that.
Painting out of the pot? Yeah.
I've seen people. I think I've seen people complain about that or like scream at us here a little bit
Well, I think it.
in chat. We don't usually have people that like really are that caught up in anything. I think they're
Right.
like kind of being goofy, but I know we've had people who are like, wow, they're putting the.
Painting out of the pots.
Yeah.
No, well, I think we also often use airbrush paints for brush painting, which allows us to do that sometimes.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
You want this guy? No, you've already got a brush.
I'm okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm about good. I've got this these sort of ledges here that didn't get any gray on them. Should I go back and touch these up?
You could a little
Also,
bit.
what do you think about this hanging lantern? You want me to improvise here?
Yeah. Why don't you improvise?
Okay.
Have fun with it.
I'm going to do yellow on the inside, and then I'm going to do a Basecoating craft pen over top.
That's a good idea. I am going and kind of getting like these. There's like these grid windows on this
Yeah.
thing that I'm doing bronze. So there we go. Those are done. Now the only thing left on this building I have to do before my next step is the around the building. There's like this motif of stars, moons, and shooting stars. And so as you guys can see, I'm just going around, knocking them out real quick.
I love that. A little bit of gold touch.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a cool kit. This kit kind of like reminds me of the same kind of like situation that was going on with my Beast Claw Raiders, the Mournfangs, where they like, I could tell it was like they were starting to come out of like the 90s aesthetics. They're starting to like pick up their aesthetics a little bit more, in my opinion. But it's not like quite where we're at today. Now this is fun because I'm also going to show you guys. I showed you an eraser last week when we did the Rubric Marines. I showed you an eraser for the Craftwork pen. I'm going to show you a different eraser today. And this eraser works better when... Actually, honestly, I like this eraser better than what I showed you guys last week. Last week's eraser, you'll recall, was a wet brush going right in the area that you screw up on.
Yep. Yeah, very quickly. Like you have to do it soon before it dries.
This one that I'm showing you guys today, you can wait on it. It can dry because we're really... Actually, the eraser is going to be an X-Acto knife. A hobby knife, and we're just really going to
just scratch it off.
Scratch it off. So, not something I necessarily want to do with like Rubric Marines, right? With models, but with terrain, I'm pretty okay with it. You know, kind of depending.
I've done that before, Zach.
You've used
Used a hobby knife as an eraser. Yeah.
yeah. Good technique, classic technique. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Couple little silver things. And by the way, like these little things right here, like don't ignore them necessarily, because as you can see, like lots of open big space that's all gray. Like it's okay. And like as you guys can see, like the way we did the gray kind of gives it like this natural variance to its look. So we do have something interesting to look at, but it's always nice to break up lots, like big blocks of color. I think we talked a lot about that when we painted. We're painting my Eldar, the Hornets, and just like adding in the stripe.
Yeah, you need things just to kind of break up the big flat areas.
Last, actually, one more thing are the little dudes in here. The Basecoating pen grabs them so nicely. For terrain, anyway. And keep in mind, we still have a few more steps that we're going to be doing on this. This I might actually have to do again. We'll see. As one of our last steps. Boom, boom. Okay, cool. So this thing, how's yours? You're pretty good?
Yeah, I've got a lot of spiky bits left to do in metal on this top piece.
Oh, yep. That's you're doing it.
So
There's no easy way around it.
This will take me a little while, but honestly, it's going to take me a lot less time than if I was painting with a brush. So
yeah, absolutely.
don't mind it. And it's, once I do 3 or 4 of these, I'm gonna get in a groove.
Yeah.
And just crank them out.
Okay. Maybe we did. Let me check. No, we did not. Okay, great. I wanted to make sure I didn't do this next step on any of the walls and fences. Okay, here we go. Next step. Ooh, I didn't do anything with this. Let's, there's like this hanging sign.
Oh, yeah. What are we advertising?
Boy, I don't know.
Zach and Brett's dehydrated water.
Oh, yeah. That'd be funny if Brian was playing with his terrain and just saw that. What the heck? I'm definitely excited.
What do you imagine this this building is? It's not a wizard's tower. I think this is a guard tower, and this is probably a monastery, some kind of religious building.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Okay.
Remember, I don't do that. That's your thing.
It's funny because it's true.
I just like to make and design things. Brett can come up with the narratives
With the
and
backstory.
the stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. Yeah, I think that's what it is. That's what I'm saying. There's a guard tower and a religious building.
Well, there's more though, right?
Why they might be connected with this connector piece, chat, you can tell us. Are there religious criminals? I guess there are, probably. Though religious zealots usually just kill the people they don't like, not imprison them.
Yeah, I will say that I don't know enough about fantasy Warhammer World.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about fantasy Warhammer World to confirm anything about anything. And when I say that, I really mean fantasy. I don't mean the realm of the mortal realms of Sigmar. A little more about that. You were a fantasy player. I really wasn't. I was when I was in 4th grade.
Mm-hmm. There's a question in chat about what markers these are. Do you want to show them on the screen there? I'll zoom in.
These are the Baoki Craftwork metallic Craftwork pen.
So the brand is Baoki, B-A-O-K-E.
Yep.
And they come in a set with gold and silver, and
that's it. Unfortunately,
man, we love them.
Yeah, they're nice. I don't typically do much with them where they are the last step. They usually get a wash applied.
Lean back a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. They usually get a wash applied over them or something like that. To be honest.
Yeah, they're a really clean metallic, which doesn't have a super strong place in the worlds we're depicting here.
Yeah, usually I like to I don't know, just give them a little bit of texture and I guess I don't know what the word is, depth with a wash.
Yep.
Okay, what I'm also doing here real quick before I use our fake airbrush tinter is the connecting building just has a few components of wood on it.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of hitting them with the Rhinox hide, which is a Citadel base paint. I just grabbed a random brush, and it's kind of okay. Yep, so there's a little bit of wood parts around here. And I'm actually going to do this wood the same way I've done all the other wood, except for I'm going to go ahead and do the spray before I finish up, and that's okay. It'll look ever so slightly different than the rest of the wood on the board. Nobody's ever going to notice. How you doing, Brett?
I'm good. I really want to put something on that sign.
Yeah. Is that what you've been thinking about?
No, but I'm curious if chat can give us some advice. What should the hanging sign outside this thing say?
Oh man.
Or some iconography?
Yeah.
It's like an opportunity for freehand. We're not going to do it tonight, but.
Yeah, freehand could be fun. Okay, a little bit of wood here. This piece that I'm doing on the connecting building is not a piece that any other buildings have. So, kind of improvising here. I'm going to have to do a lot of cleanup on it. I do want this paint to be a little thinner. So I'm going to use the...
You're doing bronze? A little bit of brown.
No, I'm doing the base coat brown for the wood. There we go. Okay, much nicer.
Yeah, these details, a lot of these have, just the same detail over and over and over again.
But this is what slows things down, right?
Yep.
It's
the gubbins.
Yeah. And like whenever I do something for the stream, I always like think about that, right? Like how is that going to get approached? Like when you actually have to sit and paint by hand.
Yep.
One thing at a time, 10 times, or even like this. This is only one of these on the board, but look, it's got copper, it's got wood all over this, the connector piece.
Yeah.
It's really like where a lot of different materials are coming together.
Yep.
I haven't even hit these things yet. I'm going to use the Craftwork pen on those. But there's just like so much to do, and it really does like slow the whole process down. There's even more wood on this thing, and I don't even know what the heck this thing is on the back of this. Like a window?
It's a window inside a window. Yeah, I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah. Well, okay, there we go. Close enough. And there's still going to be more work to be done on it. Okay, so there goes that. Here we go. Here's the craziest step of the day. Maybe we're going to use another spray bottle.
Oh, here we go.
This spray bottle, yeah.
Not airbrush.
This is 1 part Nuln Oil, 3 parts water. So after I dump the Nuln Oil out, I just fill that up with water, 3 times.
So you wait until your Nuln Oil bottle is down to a third.
No,
a quarter.
This is a whole new bottle.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a whole bottle of Nuln Oil.
Got it.
Okay, and here we go. Make sure you're ready, and then we're just going to spray this thing. Now, I'm not going to spray the roof. The roof already had that tint going on with the sepia that we did. So I'm not going to do that. But I do want the chimney, so I'm going to actually, and I know that the chimney is going to leak, so down onto the roof, and I'm kind of okay with that. And if some gets on the roof, that's okay too. Okay, so you give this a spray.
This is exciting. I love it. I love it.
Okay, you can see already that this wash is pulling up all over the place.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm cool with a little bit of it getting on the roof, putting it in our dry spot. Looks good. Here's the connector building. This is super fast process. The hard part is that's got to dry. Boom, boom. You get some kind of neat natural streaks. Look at that. I did that when the brown was still wet a little bit, and I'm kind of into it.
Nice.
I mean, I've got to be at this point, right?
There's no going back.
There's no going back. Brett, I feel like I should let you spray your own building because it's so fun.
Do you want to do, there's this one.
Oh, yeah. Let's
or
do
we just want to pass on that one?
Oh, crap. I need to paint. No. We'll do it. Let me do his little bronze area real quick.
Yeah, I'm still doing, I just finished. This guy, here so you guys can see what I've been up to. This top piece here has all of these little spikes to keep ladders from, I'm assuming from keeping ladders from being set against the walls. So I've been making those silver. And then beyond that, this guy here, I'm going to put silver on these little rivet heads.
Oh, yeah.
As a cool touch. So I painted the bronze color, and then I'm just going to touch on the rivet heads with the silver pen.
Perfect.
Just to give it a little visual interest. And then you can see here I did the lantern yellow, and I'm going to go back, and now that it's dried, with the pen and do silver for these bars. So it's like it's a lantern with bars around it. And you could, this is where, like, if you had an airbrush, you could do some kind of OSL and put sort of some yellow on the building around it. But we're not doing that today. So I'm just gonna, you know, the yellow will be inside the silver, and you'll be able to see it coming out of these bars that I'm gonna paint pen.
Okay, so while Brett's doing that, oh, you're pretty close though, huh?
Yeah, I think, you know, I could stop whenever, whenever we're ready.
Yeah, give it a spray down.
I just want to finish this guy up.
But are you excited to spray your building with a water bottle?
With a spray bottle?
Yeah.
This is what we've been building up to the whole, like, the final, I feel like this final step is what ties it all together, just like it did with the roof when we added the
right, the wash. Yeah. So, excuse me. Okay, we are getting so close here, which is kind of crazy because we're only, I don't know how far into, almost 2 hours. It's pretty good though. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I remember I was telling you guys, actually I don't remember when I was talking, it was a little yellow on this brush. That's why I just go through a new brush constantly. You guys remember I was talking about how I have all these like half bottles of white scar, and by half I mean like 10%, because I dump them all out into to make my custom color for my Eldar.
Oh yeah.
And as a result, I have like maybe 6 or 7 of these at home.
That's funny.
And
just a tiny bit left.
yeah, so it's too. You can see, like, here we go. So I'm hitting the stone.
And so now we're using the.
Yeah.
Finally.
Brett, just real quick, I know you're
Yep.
very busy, but here we go. So here's the last color. This is the white scar on the back to the stone wall. Boom, boom. You can see I'm just kind of picking out some areas to be a little more aggressive, and then being less aggressive in other areas, but especially around the top of the stone. I kind of want that. So there's the stone's done. Boom, just like that. Brett, do you want to hand me yours? Have they had a Administratum?
They have.
Okay.
Chad has some great suggestions for the text and/or logo on our hanging sign.
Okay.
I mean, I think the Titans logo was maybe the most obvious.
That's probably true.
But guys, lots of talk about like pub or inn. Man, like these buildings have spikes on the windows. Like this is not a welcoming place. Maybe that thing is like very obviously religious overtones. Like, this is not a public house. This is some kind of prison and some kind of religious building connected with a connector building that has a sign on it.
Yeah,
so
guys.
like the sign has to apply to both of them.
This is a Games Workshop setting. You know, no fun. Tabletop Titans.
I think the logo makes sense. That could be good.
Yeah.
Right, I need the bronze again. I missed a bronze thing.
Okay, so we have stone walls just about done. I'm going to hit the stone wall here that Brett did with a little bit of the the Rhinox around the bottom. And I'm just going to use this paint this brush area is white on it. It's not going to do anything. I mean, there's something I was just about to bring up and now I can't remember.
When might we see these buildings in a game?
I don't know. I don't know that any. Excuse me. I don't know that any AOS is quite on the docket in the next. Next couple weeks.
Right.
But I know.
Well, you've got an off-air game on Sunday with Andrew, right? You're going to use this then?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will. But it will show up. It's like some of the most thorough AOS terrain we now have.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, we have to.
Next AOS game.
Next
Definitely
AOS
featured.
game, it'll be there. And like we said, board agnostic, could be on grass,
Yeah.
rocks, snow, even outer space.
All right. I am about done. And I'm going to do some spraying.
Fun.
So let's see here. Do you want to give this top section a little bit more, another coat there of some kind of wood color?
Well, let's do this. I think we actually are gonna, don't spray this.
Okay.
Really?
I'm gonna spray this guy.
Yeah, but just avoid.
Just avoid the top.
Or no, go ahead and do the top. I think I did the. Trying to look. Oh no, maybe I did do it. Yeah, I think I did do it. So you're right. Let me do that real quick. So our wood. Actually, this is a great time to do this because we have finished our stone. Remember, we went Mechanicus Standard, we went Dawnstone, we went Administratum Gray, and then we went White Scar. We're about to finish up the wood. So with wood, we did Dew Brown, we did Rhinox Hide, and then we did Mournfang Brown, and now we're going to do Deathclaw Brown. I need to actually hit this guy with Mournfang first, though. So let me do that. This is the one Brett was just asking about. So again, nice dry brush here. Dry brush is going to go a long way. As you remember, like as you're working up the colors, the colors are getting lighter. You're over brushing less and dry brushing more.
That looks great. Spritz on some. All right, so chat has Googled it for us.
What this building actually is?
Yeah, apparently. Thank you, William. Apparently the set has a, quote, watchtower and a chapel. So we were right. It's got some sort of jail building. I imagine the watchtower has a prison, which is why there are spikes in the windows. And a chapel, yeah. And Devram is standing by all of his recommendations.
Okay.
Now I need to scroll up and see what they are. All right, thank you.
I did fix some super chats came in. Was there one before that too, I think?
There is, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to address Devram's first. Name ideas for the sign: Brown Tree Inn, The Civilized Orc, Hot Take Hotel, and The Sev Inn. That's great.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. Those are great ideas. Thank you.
Those are all very thematic.
Yeah, very on brand.
There you go. You ready for spray?
Yeah, okay. Before I spray, we can, we'll read Andrew's super chat. Thank you, Andrew Middlemiss. Quick skin painting question. I'm working on a Bastillodon and want the skin to be brown yellow with a faint tinge of green. What are your suggestions? Brown, yellow with a green. This sounds very Nurgle-y.
Yeah, so what I guess my with a Bastillodon, I'm trying to think where on this thing, like this, he's probably not talking about the armor plating.
There's skin like maybe between the armor plating.
Yeah,
it's not so much scales, right? It's like a leathery skin.
Yes. So I could run and grab Brian's real quick, but I won't. So here's what I will say about green, brown, and yellow. These three colors work great together. So Andrew, again, I never know if people are airbrushing or not. What I will say is you can really do like start with like a dark brown, and then maybe go up to like a Mournfang brown. After that, it'll take yellow really nicely. So but you want to do like Averin Sunset first. So like actually this would be it right here.
All right, top down, here you go.
Okay, this would give you kind of like brownish yellow, and then like you can hit areas, some yellows are areas you increase, right? The highlight, the natural highlight. How do you work green in here? Well, I would probably put green in between here and have certain areas kind of show off like that, the green. So again, like when Brett and I talk a lot about like what is the color of the thing, you would want to pick what color is the thing, but you might say like it's mostly going to be yellow, built up from brown, but there's going to be some areas where the green works in. Mm-hmm. And with green, then the only question you have like in this spectrum of paints here is how many greens do you do, and how bright do the greens get? Because like we have moot green, do they get that bright, or do you just put kind of like a middle green in here somewhere? So that would be the only thing I would say to think about. But those three colors are going to work great together. If you're not airbrushing, honestly, what I would probably do is lay down a, like Rhinox hide, which is what we've been using here today, or dryad bark.
Yep.
Lay down like a dark brown kind of a color, and then from there, I would honestly do like a lot of kind of almost the same thing we're doing here today. Skin, I think, skin largely falls into pretty close to bone and wood.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little closer to armor,
I think it
manufactured.
lends, especially a textured skin like, I imagine is on a Bastiladon. Something that's leathery is going to take really well to dry brushing. It's going to have recesses that will take washes well.
Yeah.
So those same techniques could be applied. I think it would work well.
Yeah. Want to give this guy spray down?
Yep.
How'd your spray down feel?
Were
you into it?
I mean, I was into it. I kind of want more of a mist. This is just like
this one's better. That one is
okay.
This one is really the one I should have used, but
it's fine.
It's a little bit of a splatter, but ultimately, the end result I think is actually going to be very similar.
Yeah.
And you can get that one to be a little bit more of a mist if you're like always a very neat, clean person when you do stuff like this. But if you just
pull the trigger,
just say pull the trigger.
Just do it.
Like you can see, it's like everywhere, right? But what you're doing is going to look just as good.
I'm basically just pouring it on.
Yeah, that's okay. And yeah, I mean you could, right? Because you could also do that. By the way, guys, this is really a fast process. Not pour, but like literally get a thick brush and just like slather it. Dilute it a little bit, maybe if you're going to do it that way. But cool. So we are getting really close here. Let's take stock and see where we're at.
There's one more question about the pens.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to give you this one so you can put it on the. They are.
Basecoating, B-A-O-K-E.
Basecoating Craftwork pens.
Yeah.
And we like them. They come in silver and gold.
Yeah, I haven't looked. I unfortunately, no, I did look. Actually, I'm lying. I did look before I did my Thousand Suns to see if they came in other colors. Okay, so here's where we're at. These guys are done. We've got. Oh yeah, we can add. You want to add some?
Some tufts.
Yeah, Brett's gonna add some of our neutral tufts.
Yep.
To our the copper's still a little wet.
Yep.
It's fine though.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing we like about these, they're like a deserty brownish green, very similar to the color, Andrew, that you probably want on your Bastiladon. They go with a lot of different biomes.
Yeah.
So, a lush, verdant green biome. These would not look out of place.
Yep.
They would not look out of place in sort of a more deserty biome, and they wouldn't look out of place in space either.
Yeah. I didn't put any on these other ones, but like for these, I was going to put I usually put like 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, on per thing.
I'm gonna grab some tweezers.
Do we have any?
We used to. I have some.
My tweezers were there, but I think they're back in my place.
Okay. Well, then I've got some over here.
So while Brett's doing that, I'm going to. This is actually perfect timing. I'm going to put. See where we're at here on our buildings. So this was black primer earlier, 2 hours ago. Here we go. We've got all that's really left on this thing. Actually, is some dry brushing. So there's that. Here's Brett's, which is looking pretty good. Again, yeah, oh yeah, this looks nice. There's the tower. This actually goes here. Go. Let's put a little connector piece in.
That looks great.
Oh no, wait, there needs to be some entrance. A little G.I. Joe playset there. There we go. So very close to being done. And you can see, actually, like we just saturate this with a bottle, a spray bottle full of 1 part non oil, 3 parts water, and it's already
it adds a lot of texture.
Yeah, and it's already pretty close to being dry.
The job is to add some variation It definitely does that. Achieves the desired effect. Looking good.
Okay. We're about ready to bring this home, Brett. Now, while that's there, actually here, let me show the glam cam again real quick. I will show this one building. It was in the videos we had going on earlier. This building is not from this set. If you notice this one in like earlier videos, this one actually did all wood. So the way I painted wood, and by the way, I do have a Google Doc with this. Actually, maybe even before I leave here tonight, I'll put it up. This one, you know, to be honest with you, it wasn't even in the bin of Brian's terrain. It was just nearby.
Where did this come from?
I don't know. I hope it's okay that I painted it. I didn't ask anyone. It was near the rest of this stuff, and it looks so much like it matched.
Right.
So I was like, this must also supposed to be here. So
but
I
it's
just
very
grabbed
different. It's like a solid resin piece.
It is a solid resin.
It's not
piece.
plastic.
Yeah. It's kind of like this. I don't know. It's like this interesting aesthetic of like.
Yeah, I really like this one.
I do too. It's kind of like got the beams from like a East Asian kind of look.
Right.
Or actually even like Norwegian as well, and like Scandinavian buildings have this.
And we talked before about sort of the stylized art, the art style of having this sort of really sort of arched, swept, like those beams, curving those beams is an art choice. That's a stylized art choice, and it is very distinct.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay. How's that going?
Good. Do you need me to put tufts on anything over there?
No, we're good on tufts.
You're
over
tufted
here.
up.
We're tufted up. So okay, we've got one step left, which has 2 steps in it, I think.
Okay, what's that?
Dry brushing. So
You know how much I like dry brushing. Zach.
yeah. Now here's the thing. We just sprayed these guys down with water,
Yeah.
so I'm like really investigating these things closely.
Because you don't want to start dry brushing before
No.
before the null is dry.
No.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Is this the one? Oh wait, this is the one I did. I just put that one on.
Yeah, this is the
This is the
new one.
Yeah, looks the same. I was like, wow, man, this one really dried fast. Okay, so yours is still a little wet,
Uh-huh.
not surprisingly. So let's put it here. Put it a little closer in the fan. We'll put that back on the glam cam. So in this part of the stream, we do need to wait for paint to dry, literally.
Literally waiting for paint to dry.
Yeah. We should have saved the questions.
We should Somebody ask us a question in chat. Do you want to talk about what we're doing next week?
This one's pretty close. Next week.
Or are we
oh,
getting ahead of
yes.
ourselves?
No. Yes, that's perfect. Let's talk about next week. We're pretty excited, I think.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, I think Brett and I are both really excited. We're going to be spending the next few weeks, actually,
Yeah.
on a new board.
Brand new board.
Brand new board, full board, probably going to be done. We're starting it tomorrow. We've actually already started this board.
It's actually been in the works for some time.
For some time, some parts of this board have actually even already been accomplished on the hobby stream.
Oh,
and
yeah.
in fact, one part,
Unbeknownst to all of you,
Unbeknownst.
yet knownst to us.
to us, yeah.
Yeah.
One of it was actually our very first episode
Very
with Adrian,
first.
where we did trees.
We did trees, yeah. Those trees in the very ever first hobby stream in this studio
Back in May.
were part of this board that's
Yeah, that's how long game we
yeah,
are.
yeah.
That's how long game you have to be actually when you do a lot of hobbying sometimes. So we do have some stuff finished for the board already, so we kind of have already started. But this is going to be a brand new board. I'm really excited for this board. I think it's maybe the wildest board I've ever done. It's going to be a water mat, but like a shallow water mat.
Right.
It's going to be a mangrove kind of forest, and it has a bunch of Eldar pieces. Let's show one.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, should we show
Oh
one?
my gosh.
Yeah, this is very exciting.
Yeah.
So Brett is 3D print this, and we'll go through all of this next week. But here's this thing.
That thing is a beast. It's like 11, printed in 11 pieces or something.
Yeah.
And this table has 4 of these things on it.
Yeah.
It's, over $100 just in resin It's going to be on like 3D printing resin. It's going to be on this table.
Yeah. So really excited. We're going to paint these in I think, really exciting way. So you're going to have these, you're going to have water, you're going to have trees, the Death World Forest stuff, which is all
right.
Asuryani as well.
And the idea of this table is that it's like an Eldar way station on this planet with like shallow water and mangrove trees. And it's like fallen into disrepair. It's not been used anymore. So we'll have sort of webway elements.
Yeah.
There'll be these buildings.
Yeah.
But there'll be a lot of natural elements, trees and such as well.
So we're actually going to paint those next week. Brent and I are just going to paint one up. And we have kind of an exciting paint scheme. We won't give that away yet because I think it's pretty weird.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be, like you wouldn't think, let me paint something this color.
Yeah, but it's going to look really good.
It's kind of not a color.
We've done some
right?
tests.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's going to be funky.
Yeah. And
yeah.
And it's all going to be in typical Zach form. It's going to all sort of the buildings and the trees and the mat and everything will sort of have a overarching vibe to it.
Yes.
Which will all fit together really well. So when Zach first pitched this idea for this table to me, I immediately was super excited. And it's just been a long time getting here, and we're excited to finally like be digging into it.
We need an Eldar board, right?
Yeah.
Like a Asuryani board. So
we've got Imperial boards, we've got Orc boards,
Tau
we've got
boards.
Tau boards.
Yeah.
We don't have anything Eldar.
No Eldar boards.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think mine's
Ready for dry brushing?
ready for dry brushing.
Yeah.
Is the little guy ready for dry brushing?
Okay.
Wait, has the little guy been sprayed down?
Has.
Yeah. Is he ready?
He's
still dry.
He's still a little wet.
This one's still a little wet too around the
Yeah,
stairs.
in the
so we gotta
crevices.
wait. I can start though.
We can put these like in front of the fan, eh? How about that?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, finding some kind of clean.
I've got like 5 more of these tufts that I could put on these fences.
Oh,
Would
you know
like
what?
me to
Can you
just-
save them for me? For my,
Sure.
I mean, for my beast claw raiders.
Absolutely.
For my frost sabers. Haven't put any on yet. I need to actually order more of those. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back to Administratum Gray, and I'm going to do, again, not quite an overbrush. We're back to really like a dry brush here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do a dry brush, and I'm going to hit most of the stone parts of this building. Now, Brett, at the start of the stream, was kind of asking, should we do the stones a different color from the walls, these down here? And what you're going to see is about to happen is that's kind of going to happen because the stones are going to take the dry brushing
Yeah.
a lot more
Yep.
than the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then when I do white, I'm really going to give it to these parts down here. And you want to be careful here. Like you can see, I start to get streaks there, so I kind of
Right.
adjust it.
That looks super good.
You do want to be careful here. This is whenever you're dry brushing across a big area of open space like this, you really do risk brush marks. And again, that's like like that. Don't want that. It's because it got a little wet. That's the number one thing you absolutely don't want is brush marks. Like you can explain a lot of weird textures that show up when you work in these kind of like funky ways with sprays and stuff that we've been doing here today. Cannot really explain brush strokes, as Brett was saying earlier.
Yep. This is like making the stones a different color from the stucco without really even trying.
Yep.
Just because, like you said, the stones pick up the dry brush a lot better than the stucco does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is still a little damp, but I think I'm okay to just kind of hit this area. Don't want that.
Andrew was hoping for a close-up of some tufts.
Oh, some tufts on the...
Yeah, so I'm gonna put those on the close-up camera here.
I actually need to check the rules for fences and walls and AOS. I think they actually do have a rule. And so that would be nice because this kit has 1 million of them. We now have 1 million fully painted fences and walls. So I hope there's a rule for them.
The rule is the rule of cool. They look good.
They will look good. but it'd be nice if there was actually also a real rule beyond the rule of cool.
All right, here you go, Andrew. Tufts.
Oh yeah, those look great.
Okay.
The tufts do add a lot, and they are, again, our recommendation for you want a little bit of plant life, but you want to keep the place like agnostic of a specific environment. They're definitely my recommendation for that. Beige tufts, because green, right? Like if you put green tufts like in a winter environment, be like it could kind of work.
Yeah.
But you know,
there are plants that can survive through that.
yeah.
All right, can I?
This
Is
guy's
there one of
still
those
wet.
that's dry enough for me to?
I don't know.
Not really.
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
It's okay. We can actually just finish the house.
The chapel.
Yeah, and then I can knock this out in a couple minutes after the stream
Okay.
when it dries. So the chapel is weirdly pretty close to being done and is dry. So we just did the administratum gray. Next, I'm going to do white scar again.
Okay. Oh, so
And-
this is a two-step dry brush.
Two-step dry brush. So the white scar again is really like the big one to make things, to kind of aggressively really knock stuff out.
Yeah, and I'm tempted to want to dry brush this, but it's not done. It's not dry.
No,
and,
so don't, yeah.
and you really don't want to move on to dry brushing if your wash is still
This one's good though. So
still
you guys
pooled.
will see here, I am being a little more careful with this one. And the white scar I'm really just keeping down on these stones.
Yeah.
And the other place I do it, and I actually even call this out in the Google Doc, which I will post up. The other place I'm doing them is like the corners of the buildings. I'll show you.
Yep.
Which coincidentally do have a lot of stones on them anyway. So really making sure I always get a bunch of this off of my hand, and I always go into a serious dry brush situation carefully, you know, just like a little timidly. Here's the corners I'm talking about.
Yeah, that once you get to the white, you have to be really, really gentle.
Yeah.
That looks great. Devram has a question.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Devram. Have either of you ever used a sonic cleaner for stripping models or cleaning your airbrush? It's the best $20 I've spent in a while.
Have you, Brett?
So I got one when I got into 3D printing, and it's commonly used there for cleaning extra resin off the parts. So after they're printed, and if you're doing resin printing, they come out of the vat and you have a solid part covered in a bunch of liquid resin, uncured, and so you need to wash it. And so an ultrasonic cleaner is good for that. And I use it on the sort of secondarily for, like you say, Devram, for stripping, or for like if you buy a part from that's fine cast or forge rolled, and it comes with some mold release on it, it can be useful for that. But never for airbrush cleaning, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm curious to try it now, though. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, I haven't. I remember, and I don't even think I knew Brett was doing it, although it makes sense for 3D printing. I have not. Some peeps I game with have. I know a bunch of Santa Cruz guys use it. I'll say that I don't feel like I need it for my airbrush. And as far as minis go, I've never. I'm trying to think how to say this. Yeah, and I see somebody saying LA totally awesome. LA's totally awesome is the name of this cleaner that people use that they love. I've always just taken my models, put them in a bucket of like 1 part water, 1 part simple green.
Yep.
And never had issues.
And you just leave it overnight and you come back.
No,
the next
I
day.
leave it like
A couple days.
I've like years sometimes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It doesn't melt anything. Sometimes people think, or like people are, oh, you're gonna lose detail. I've never had any of that happen.
Right.
Most of the towel models you've seen on the table of mine have sat
Stripped, right.
have sat in that for at least a couple weeks.
Right. Now, stripping models is like there's a whole cottage industry, and there's all these, like, everyone's got their product of choice that I've heard. I remember when I first got into the hobby, I was buying a lot of secondhand models as well. And like, some people use like brake fluid.
Yeah.
Some people use cleaners.
I've
some
seen all
people,
kinds of stuff.
there's like toxic stuff and non-toxic stuff, isopropyl alcohol.
Yeah.
There's a huge, like, everyone's got their opinion about what they're like best.
Yeah, for like is Windows doing something to us?
All right, are we back? We should be back.
Yeah.
Looks like we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Not quite sure what's going on with the internet tonight.
Yeah, that hasn't happened in a while.
Anyway, yeah, stripping models. I feel like we could do an entire show on it. Maybe we will.
I don't. Yeah, I don't
It's also
know.
like I think it's one of those things that a lot of people are like have very strong feelings about, but the reality is all of these solutions work. So don't worry about using the best stripping solution. Just find one that works for you.
So what I just did is finish the house.
Yep.
The other thing I'm doing real quick, any place where I have the copper, the bronze paint, I'm hitting it with Reikland Flesh Shade. This is a GW wash. I love the way Reikland Flesh Shade looks on like Castellax bronze. So it really kind of brings it to life. I will show an example here, Brett, if you want to zoom in. It's still wet, but this is here this door has been hit with it. Brett's door in his castle, can you see?
Yep.
Has not yet been hit with it, although we will. And you can kind of see the difference. So yes, it's still wet, so it's got a little bit of that going on. But it really kind of helps it, I don't know, it adds like another layer of life to it. And then we'll do a little bit of silver dry brush on that as well. Okay, so that's just about done. Let me hit your thing here with the Reikland Flesh Shade. So not sepia, which is what I've been using, but Reikland Flesh Shade.
I want to just comment that this one hasn't been dry brushed yet.
Yeah.
But like the smooth plastic walls that are sort of stuccoed. When we applied our sort of rough application of the gray paint, sort of very brisk, casual, not we didn't pay attention to the detail, and then we sprayed the Nuln Oil on it.
It goes around.
Oh my gosh, this looks exactly like stone. I'm gonna put this on the glam cam just to show this.
Yeah.
So this is, oh my gosh, I can't get over how much like stone that looks. Look at the sort of sides of that. That's smooth plastic. The sort of center sections in between the obvious bricks on the corners. That's smooth plastic between those. And this combination of steps that we've done tonight turned it from just a smooth facade to having all of that texture and all of that that variation. It looks amazing. Anyway, I just wanted to share that before we move on.
Well, we can
Okay.
we can about call it here. Here is the house. If we want to put that on glam here. This is the house, and so this is
Chapel, Zach.
Oh, the chapel.
The
sorry.
chapel.
So you can see the stone around the bottom does pop out a little bit more. The roof color choice there helps a lot. Okay, so we are now 2.5 hours in. We can call it. Brett and I have a little bit of dry brushing to do that I'll probably knock out tonight or tomorrow on his castle while it dries. But we did our stone walls. We did this.
Shall we
This was
set
a
up a
lot
little
of training.
diorama here?
Yeah, let's do it. This is a lot of terrain to knock out in
In what, 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours. And we could have done more, and it would have taken a little bit longer, but not way longer.
Yeah, not too bad.
There we go.
I like it.
So, folks, If you're like, hey, I don't airbrush and I have some terrain I want to knock out, wet brushing. Cannot recommend that enough. I don't know that that's what it's officially supposed to be called. That's what I call it. So the wet brushing is, to recap, I used a sponge brush, and I will post this under the video. I use a sponge brush. Keep the paint wet. I'm constantly adding water to it. You can use a wet palette. You don't need to. Anything non-porous. Keep it wet, slather it all over, let it dry, slather it all over again. I would use, like for stone gray,
Yeah.
for like, you've been talking about if we did the tan kind of Mediterranean,
Yep.
probably start with like XV88, like a ochre, like a darker ochre.
Yeah.
Maybe even Mournfang brown, like a medium brown.
Yeah, start dark and work it way up.
Yeah, and then I just go up bone colors, basically. Warm bone colors. Couple wacky things we did, right? So we kind of laid down a base coat of really thin, watery layers.
Yeah.
2 layers.
2 thin layers of watery paint.
Then we did 1 layer of the second color. For us, that was Dawnstone.
Yep.
And while that was on and wet, we sprayed it with this. That's really what gives like that streaky, natural stone
It
look.
was so good. It added so much texture.
After that, then you gotta let that dry. Then pick out all your details. And then we did that guy,
Yep.
which was the non-oil wet
Yeah.
mix.
Here, this guy here.
That right
We
there.
s-
3 parts
this is
water,
our
1 part non-oil.
Not airbrush.
Not airbrush for tinting. And that's it. Oh, the fan brush. We did the fan brush, the streaks down.
Yep, for the roof.
Yeah, and then lots of dry brushing, which you guys know how to do.
And lots of details using the Basecoating craft pens.
Yeah. Cool. And I think we're caught up on questions.
We are. Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back here next week, same time, same place for the Elder Board, starting of the Elder Board that we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Super excited for that.
Join us for that. Anything else to talk about?
I think we're good. I think we did it.
All right.
Guys, get painting. Even if you don't have an airbrush, no excuses, right?
No excuses. That should be the thumbnail for this video.
No excuse terrain. Yeah. Folks, as always, we like to say, be kind to each other, be kind to yourself, and always be creating.
Bye.